selected next-generation index annuity through IQ Wealth may offer 10% ample liquidity, principal protection, and a lifetime income yield potentially double to triple that of quality bonds. By yielding more income using fewer dollars, our system allocates more money for you for capital growth. It's a winning combination.
Call leading annuity authority Steve Jurich now, 480-902-3333. Guarantees rely on the claims-paying ability of the insurer, so compare with Steve, 480-902-3333. Call Steve now.
Hey everybody, Mark Asher back to tell you about my great friends over at the Lund Mortgage Team. You know, the Lund Mortgage Team has been doing their thing for over 2 decades in the Valley, helping thousands of people in Arizona save money on their loans, get the best rate. They're mortgage brokers. They can shop it around for you. And now more than ever, it is so important to have a mortgage professional that's been around, that's seen the high rates, low rates, everything in between, because look, there's no sugarcoating what's going on right now. The rates are higher. However, the supply and demand, the whole how many houses are for sale in Arizona and what's going on, it's gone in favor of the buyer now. So if you're going to buy a new home, it is important to go and get that rate. Whatever that rate is, it's not going to be your forever rate. That's important to think about. So lock it in, get the house of your dreams, and move on. But let the people at the Lund Mortgage Team do their job. All the heavy lifting from start to finish. They'll find you the best rate out there. Call 623-875-9940, 623-875-9940, or online, lundmortgage.com.
KQSN Tempe, also transmitting on K25CDB at 99.3 FM, K240U Fountain Hills at 95.9 FM. 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
People settle down because it's time.
Time for what?
Showtime.
When does it start?
Right now. 3, 2, 1.
Let's get on with the show.
Let's do it.
Welcome, everybody, to a Thursday edition of the Daily Blender. In case you think something sounds off, well, it is. And I am about to steal the bit of one Randy White, because Randy and Jeffrey are out. They are handling business, and so I get to sit in the big boy chair this fine Thursday afternoon, and we're going to get to a lot of things. Quite frankly, we've got a lot of sports to get to. We've got an hour to get to the non-NFL stuff, though honestly, the first hour does have a bunch of NFL stuff in it too. Hour number 2 is going to have all of our picks. And then hour number 3, like always, we get fantasy football advice this week because we go back and forth between Rosalie Michaels and Scott the King. So we're going to get to Scott Engel, the king of fantasy football, in hour number 3 so that he can answer your fantasy football questions. It's Thursday. No Randy, no Jeffrey, but I don't see why anything has to change except for the potential disaster that this show could be. Because I don't know, I could be leading us into a swamp. I don't know. Joined by Ralph Romano from Harmon Solar. How you doing, Ralph?
Good, man. I think the quality of the show will be improved today because there's some people gone. So I think this is a good thing. We've done this before, and it's been good.
Yeah, it was good the last time we did it, and I do know that there is a Ralph fan base out there.
There is, and at least we won't have that bias that Randy and Jeffrey bring. So at least me and you are a bit we're more even keel, and we don't have a bias, so it's good.
Well, you have some bias.
No, I don't know what you're talking
about. You got like a little bias.
Nah, not really.
there is some anti-Phoenix bias going on there with you, but let's put that to the test. Let's put that to the test right now, because last night the Suns played the Brooklyn Nets, and they had Devin Booker, they had Kevin Durant, and they had Bradley Beal. So they had every member of the big three, plus Nurkic was out there. So that we finally got a better look of what this team could be, and there were ups and there were downs. 116-112, the Nets were able to get the win over the Suns. And so here's the test right here. Does this mean anything to you? Does this say anything about the Suns the first time the big three are together? And it was just okay. It's just all right.
Can I take back my opening now? Because I really want to.
I was putting you on the hot seat right away.
I mean, part of me wants to just go start just driving a fork through them. But, the reality is the three of them haven't played together all year. So it's going to take time. I hate to use that, but that's reality, right? They don't really know They don't have that experience with each other yet. So yeah, is it a big deal? Nah, not yet. Not really. Now, if we're 15 games from now and they're doing it, yeah, maybe we start talking about it. As much as I want to say it's a big deal, I just can't. It's not a big deal yet.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that there were some things going on with that game last night too. Blissful Hayes dropping in on the text line to say that a fully healthy super team Suns lost to the tanking Nets. The Suns are not very good. No cohesion, no energy, no organization. It's just bad basketball. The Nets won the trade. Now that is an overreaction right there. I mean, because maybe in the long term, you could say that the Nets won the trade. We'll see what happens, as the Nets continue to go forward. But the Suns were not fully healthy. The big three were healthy, but the Suns were not fully healthy. They had no Grayson Allen. They had no Josh Okogie. They had no Eric Gordon. Guys, that's the bench.
Yeah.
Like that's the entire bench, so you don't have any depth. Booker played really well. Durant played well. Beal was the one that was lagging behind, and that makes sense because this is only his second game back from the back injury.
Yep. But you just said it, right? Those three guys are the bench. That's the big problem, I think. They're not deep. They're just not.
They're not, but I think that especially not having, those three guys in particular, somebody to come in and fill in for what Durant's got on the floor or what Beal's putting out on the floor, and certainly what Booker is putting out there. You're missing Eric Gordon because that's the backup point guard. So you don't have that for your second unit. It was a really, really bad second unit. It's not a deep basketball team yet. We've got Donnie jumping in to say another day full of excuses for the Suns. And look, how can it be excuses? If you are missing a good portion of your bench, that doesn't count. That doesn't mean anything. Look, I'm not saying that this is, the only reason the Suns didn't win that game is because they had no bench. That's obviously not true. But they lost by 4, and they didn't have a bench. That has to factor into the math in this on some level. Especially it being the second night of a back-to-back and you're not deep. Those two things do not go well together at all.
I mean, at some point, though, we're going to have to start looking at this and going, okay, at one point do we stop making excuses? I'm okay with it for the moment. I am okay with it for the moment. But we're talking about a 13-11 Sun team that is very much so underperformed based on expectations, but they have excuses to kind of back that. But at some point, like I said, next 15 games or so, if we're still seeing a team that's struggling around 500, we got to start calling it what it is, I think.
I don't disagree with that. There is going to be a point in the year where you expect them to start gelling, where Beal's just got to be healthy, Booker's got to be healthy, Durant's got to be healthy. And if the injury thing is still a problem in the second half of the season intensely, where you've got guys missing multiple weeks, that's just what you are. You're just hurt. If they're healthy and they continue to look like this, where there are some bright moments, there were some plays last night where I thought that's gelling a little bit. There was a pass from Booker. He was in the corner for 3. He swings it up top to Durant. Durant draws some attention, and then he pushes it to Beal, and then Beal is able to drive in and get basically an open jumper from 15 feet. Like, that's what that offense can look like. But if you start getting close to the All-Star break, or even just a little bit after the All-Star break, and the offense doesn't look like that more often than it doesn't, that's going to be a problem.
You know what sits in my head, and it's been sitting in my head for a while now. A lot of things sit in my head, obviously, but I can't expose those. But what I'm thinking about particularly is the Spurs are 3-20, and 2 of those wins are against the Suns.
Say it again.
Spurs are 3-20, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Did they beat the Suns twice?
They did.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's concerning.
That is concerning, and I think with that too, that one tells me a very specific thing. Suns are too little. They're just there's nobody inside to bully another big, and that is going to be a problem.
And I think that's why, and I said this last week too, I think that's why they're not going to go deep, because they don't have that inside force to handle the bigger teams. Forget the Spurs. Let's even talk Denver. Let's talk the Lakers, who are really big inside. How do you handle those teams? You're going to lose those games, especially in the playoffs.
Yeah, 100%. I think they're going to make it. But that, how far they go, whether or not you have to go play in game to get in, which is not great. Whether or not, you end up with, you start having to play the matchup game of, we don't want them, but we want them.
Right.
Like, you don't want to be a contender with that issue. You want to be able to say our team can go to the playoffs and win. Lost Toby said Grayson Allen not being healthy was not on my excuses why we lost bingo card. Fortunately for you, if that was the only name I said, then yeah, that would be insane. Grayson Allen is not the tipping point for the Suns.
Right.
But when you combine that with Josh Okogie and Eric Gordon, the fact of the matter is you were getting 27 minutes last night from Nasir Little. That's not good. I mean, I don't mean to disrespect the man, but it's not good. He's not a 27-minute a night guy.
Right.
So you are going to have to get a little bit deeper than that. And it did look like when all of those guys were healthy, and by those guys I mean Booker, Durant, and Beal, that the Suns would be a deeper team. But then not having Allen and Okogie and Gordon out there makes them not deep at all, so you've got a good starting lineup. Well, name me a team that has won an NBA Finals ever where they just had a good starting lineup, but their bench sucked. It's rare if it's happened at all.
Yeah, it's really rare. It's always about the bench and the role players. Always.
Yeah. So I just think that like Shaq always likes to say, like you win and lose some of this stuff on what the others do, even if your guys play their best. And by the way, Beal did not play his best. So that's also a factor there too. And as he gets healthier, he's got to play better, plain and simple.
We talked about this when they went after Durant and got him, and then they went after Beal and got him. We said, now you've got to put the right guys around him. And I'm starting to feel like they just haven't done a good job of that. I mean, that's the critical piece in building a championship team. And I always go back to the Lakers, of course, who have the big two, and they've put guys around them that make sense and work. And that's why they're so deep. And I just don't see the Suns the way they're made. I mean, I could be wrong, obviously. I could be biased, obviously. But I just don't see a really good team around those three. And I think that's going to be what they're going to be known for this year. They're going to fail because of that.
I sure hope that that's not the case. But here's where I know that they're lacking. You mentioned the Spurs earlier, that the Suns have lost to the Spurs twice, which when a team has only won 3 games, 23 games into a season, and 2 of them are you should probably take notice of that.
Yeah, I agree.
So the things that I noticed in that game is that the Suns, mentioned it before, they're really little inside, but also they're not tough, and I don't think that you need like a Draymond Green kind of guy, and we will talk about him a little bit later, but you do need somebody who's going to push back when the other team pushes you. There isn't anybody like that on this roster at the moment. Maybe you look at PJ Tucker in LA. He's not particularly happy with his role over there. Maybe you find something for him here, and then you have a guy who is tough, and also, he can make open shots. So it's not like he'll be a liability offensively out there for you too, but just defensively, I just think the Suns get pushed around way too much, and that's a problem.
But you said that last year. Do you remember? That was your big beef, was it with them, is that they get pushed around. They don't have that toughness, especially inside.
Yeah. And they have not solved it. No. And I'm wondering if what they're going to do, what James Jones specifically is going to do before the trade deadline to add something to that. Because, everybody wanted DeAndre Ayton out of here. They wanted him gone. And then they replaced him with Yusuf Nurkic, who, look, he definitely works harder out there, but Nurkic is not a tough guy.
Not at all.
He's a good player. He's a quality player. He got 22 rebounds last night. So the guy was playing his butt off. But that's not a tough guy.
No, and they don't have a tough guy. They need to do that, or I think they're in trouble. So you got rid of Ayton because that was your big excuse about him, and now you've done what?
Yeah, and I was never the run Ayton out of town guy unless you had a replacement in mind. So here we are. The Suns are not tough. They're a little soft on the inside. I think that's got to be an issue. And then, of course, the defense. The defense is the next issue that I have with the Suns. The Nets starting lineup, everybody double figures, all 5 starters. Like that can't happen in an NBA game, especially one where you're shorthanded, because there's no roster in the NBA that's going to lose a ton of games where everybody is able to do that well on a stat sheet. You can't. So it's bad defense in addition to just about everything else. Thundar, the Santa Barbarian, says, hi, Jeffrey. Sorry to send this text so early, but I have to give a final in a few minutes and won't be able to text live until too late today. Can I ask Mr. the King or Rosalie? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and see if I can file this one for later. I don't know how Jeffrey does this here. The text line is a foreign land to me. I have no idea what's going on here. I'm going to try and remember that one, Thundar, and make sure that I get your question answered. Rico Suave says the Bulls. I'm going to need a little bit more.
Okay, yeah,
we will mention the Bulls later, actually, in reference to your Lakers, Ralph, because there's some trade rumors going back and forth between those two teams, and I want your thoughts, but not right now. We'll get there in a little bit. Lost Toby says, what defense? Well, yeah, that's what we're saying.
Exactly.
It's not good. They weren't planning on playing a ton. And I am not, I'm totally okay with selling out on one side of the ball, even if it means that you have a big weakness on the other. But you do have to play a little defense. It can't be zero, which is what we're looking at right now, especially whenever they have somebody that they go up against that's a little bit bigger, that playing out of the post. That is just a major issue. And that Wembanyama got the best of them when they played. And so that's going to be huge because bigs are important in the NBA again.
How about they figure out how to play at home? They've looked really bad at home, right? They're under 500 at home. I mean, that's just not good.
Yeah, that's a bad
really
bad
bad.
split. Yeah. And I don't know why that is.
Yeah,
Like, there's no good reason, but like the whole you're going to spend the entire season essentially playing for an upper seed in the Western Conference so you can have home court advantage. And if it's not an advantage for you, yeah, that you got to figure out why that is. It's almost as bad as being like terrible just on the road.
Right.
Not quite as bad, but it's almost as bad.
Yeah.
Because that's your home court. Like you lose the fans when you're not playing well at home. And that's supposed to be your advantage. And they can't help you because the crowd's just not going to be into a game where, yeah, we're down by 12 at halftime. Sure, you might have rallied and come back, but the crowd was out of it for like 75% of the game.
Right. No,
Just-
agreed.
Can't really have that. So we had that with the Suns. We're gonna try and get to some of these other NBA notes here in this segment. I don't want this running too long because we've got a lot of NFL to get to. But the Draymond Green suspension, which we have talked about for a while now, with his UFC level spinning back fist on Yusuf Nurkic. The more I watch him hit him, like the worse it gets. Actually,
The more you watch it, the worse it gets. And then you listen to him afterwards saying, it was kind of weird. It was like, what's wrong with this guy?
yeah,
It's got something going on between those two eyeballs. I don't know. Something's going on up there.
something's going on with Draymond Green, and I think that the league agrees that they suspended him indefinitely, and the punishment wasn't even a punishment in a lot of ways. Joe Dumars, who is in charge of this stuff for the NBA, he had something to say about it. He was on the ESPN this morning, and this is what he had to say on the issue.
A lot of times people get caught up into like a number, like what's the number? And we didn't want to do that. What we wanted to do was, first of all, we knew that there would be some level of punishment, but we didn't want that to be the focus. We wanted the focus to be on how can we help Draymond as well. And we thought indefinite was the best way to do that. So people don't get caught up on here. What's the number? Is it too low? Is it too high? Indefinite means get yourself right. We want to see you at your best. And the best way for you to do that is to get yourself mentally and emotionally back to where you need to be. And so that's how we got to indefinite.
So Draymond's going to be spending the next several weeks visiting various therapists, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'm okay with that. I think that's a good approach, right? I mean, everything he just said makes a lot of sense. They're more concerned about what's going on with that guy, and they want him to get better. It's not a punishment, like you said. It's more of, hey, let's get things fixed here and get you back in. I like that.
It seems like he can't help it.
Right.
Like that's
exactly.
that's the big issue is he's completely out of control. And you can't have that in the NBA. But if the guy is not capable of controlling himself, I do think it's sensible to ask why
Right.
and suspend him until you get those answers. Because how else do you explain a guy who got into an altercation and then was back for 2 games and then got into another one and he instigated them both?
Yep.
You know, and I'm not entirely certain what it is that the league has in mind for Draymond, what he has to clear before they will say you are good to come back. But the indefinite suspension is probably the smartest move. And yeah, like it's not about making Draymond pay for what he's done. It's that we know that Draymond's not an idiot,
Right.
but he can't help himself from acting like one. You've got to be able to iron that stuff out before you let him back around, you know, the other players in your league who he is likely to either hit or kick or choke or stomp on. I'm pretty sure Draymond Green has a full set of wrestling moves from just all of the damage that he's done
That's funny.
to people. So let's see. Blissful Hayes is checking in to say nothing useful. So I'm going to move on. Big George. Hello, gentlemen. Happy Friday Eve. Boy, oh boy, do things go. Big George and his book long texts. All right. Do things go downhill when Jeffrey and Randy are gone? Thank God we have Keon on the show to keep up the quality, because if Keon was not here, it would be 24/7 Shohei Ohtani Dodger talk and Laker news. Blah.
We haven't even talked about Shohei.
haven't mentioned it at all.
Wow.
I don't even think Shohei was on the docket for today, honestly.
Right,
I think
now he is, thanks.
we've done all the Shohei talking that we could do. Las Toby says Draymond has Antonio Brown levels of CTE. I don't know about that, man, but I mean that's true. There's something's wrong up there. If it's not CTE, it's something. Mr. Wilbur says, what segment today? Are we going to talk about the number 1 ranked Arizona Wildcats versus the number 3 ranked Purdue Boilermaker basketball game on Saturday? Or are you just going to wait until tomorrow to utilize 2, if not 3 segments to discuss it?
Wow.
Mr. Wilbur, I've got very bad news for you, which is that not only do I have not 3 segments or 2 segments or 1 segment, I don't have any segments for Arizona. Hefty Lefty says the music sounded very familiar. That was in the middle of the soundbite. Yeah, they tried to cut it off at some point, but I don't know why it is that when people are being interviewed on that particular network, they feel like they have to play music underneath the guest. I wouldn't be my choice, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
The most alarming part about the spinning back fist was it didn't look like Nurkic didn't do anything to start the altercation. He didn't lose his cool and cause something to happen. He just did it for no reason.
Yeah.
And that is, you know.
That's exactly, yeah, he's right.
Yeah, it just like there's no reason for this
Unprovoked.
to work. And Blissful Hayes, I'm not going to stop you. You know, if you got to go, man, you got to go. Like the show is free. I don't have to read all your texts, especially when they're not good.
Wow.
That's the best I can say. Listen, these are not my words. Blissful Hayes is actually listed in the text line as not funny. So not me. Don't accuse me. If you gotta
funny. Oh.
you gotta jump somewhere else, man, you gotta jump somewhere else. But don't put it on me. Silver Pop says, good afternoon, gentlemen. And Ralph, look,
Oh, wow.
let's be honest. Any other occupation in this world, these types of actions would definitely lead to termination, even charges filed. Why is the league taking it easy on him? He has a long history of these activities. He will not change. And I do think that that's a good point, Silver Pops, because I don't know that he can't change. I tend not to be that person that says that nobody can change. And sometimes people have to be dumb for a really long time before they figure things out. Hopefully not, 33 years old as Draymond Green is. You hope it doesn't take that long, but it does take people a long time sometimes.
I would say in a sense, that's what they've kind of, if you look at it in real life, they've kind of termed him in a sense, because what they've said to him is go get yourself right. And if he doesn't get himself right, he's not coming back.
Yeah.
Right. He's out of a job. So, I mean, it's, I get where you're coming from when you say the way you did, if I were to do that in my work, yeah, I'd be gone that day. I wouldn't get that second chance, but the league is kind of giving it a little bit of a different spin. But if this poor guy can't get it right, I mean, you'll never see him on the court again. So
Yeah, because at this point, it's not just the league. Kevin Durant, who played with him, was just like, yeah, I don't know what's wrong with that dude, but he wasn't this crazy when I played with him. Steve Kerr, who has done nothing but enable and defend Draymond Green, even he came out and said, yeah, we got to get Draymond some help. And at that point, when Steve Kerr is saying it, yeah, you might have an issue out there. So there are plenty of things to be fixed. Look, we've run a little bit long in this segment. We have not gotten through all the NBA news. We got one last thing to talk about. It involves Giannis and him trying to fight all the Indiana Pacers. So we will get to that and a bunch of NFL stuff on the other side. You're listening to the Daily Blender here on 1580, The Fanatic.
This is Brent Musburger's action update on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Take the guesswork out of your holiday gifts. OmahaSteaks.com for 50% off site-wide and save an additional $30 with promo code VSIN. OmahaSteaks.com.
Thursday Night Football tonight, Week 15, with 4 games remaining. The LA Chargers are in Las Vegas to take on the Raiders. Raiders favored by 3 points, minus 164 on the money line. The Chargers will play tonight without Justin Herbert. He suffered a season-ending finger injury that required surgery, and Easton Stick, their 5th-round draft pick, will take over at starting quarterback. The Chargers are plus 138 on the money line, with an over-under at Allegiant Stadium at 34.5. Both teams entering the game at 5-8. I'm Tony Desiri with your VSiN Action Update on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZzzQuil.
ZzzQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZzzQuil nights. Explore our products at ZzzQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who specialize in saving the day and for the ones who've mastered the art of keeping business moving. We offer industrial-grade supplies for every industry with same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders, all backed by real people ready to help. So you can get the right answers and products right when you need them. Call quickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
What's up, everybody? Nick Costos here, host of You Better You Bet, reminding you to check out the show. Now, why should you check out You Better You Bet? Because we bring you the most fun. We bring you the most insightful, the most entertaining show in the wagertainment world. From up-to-the-minute breakdowns of backdoor covers, bad beats, and the cheers and tears that come alongside them. Plus, you'll get the best betting analysis anywhere from myself, Ken Barkley, and some of the best minds in the sports wagering world. So tune in weekdays, noon to 3 on Arizona sports betting station, 1580 and 99.3, The Fanatic.
Welcome back to the Daily Blender here on 1580 The Fanatic, and we are trying to get through as many news and notes around the National Basketball Association as we can, because once the football stuff starts, it's kind of like going downhill. There is no stopping that train. So we're trying to get all the stuff in that we can. We do have a loaded week, or should I say weekend, of play-by-play for you here on 1580 The Fanatic. Tonight, obviously, we've got the Chargers and the Raiders. Our apologies in advance. I cannot be held responsible for any misery that you suffer if, you know, your ears just start bleeding from the sound of bad football. We tried. We don't choose these games. Saturday, we've got Vikings at Bengals. That's an 11 a.m. game. And then we've got Steelers at Colts at 2. We've got Broncos at Lions at 5:30. That's the third game on Saturday, but that game's going to be over on Money Radio because we've got GCU playing basketball on Saturday as well. Portland is visiting Grand Canyon University at 7:15. Then we've got the Sunday games, Buccaneers at Packers. That is at 10:30 in the morning. And then Ravens at Jaguars at 5:30 p.m. And then Monday night, we've got Eagles and Seahawks at 5:30 as well. That should be a particularly good game. We're going to get to the text line, and then we're going to try and get back to the rest of this news if we can get there. But there are a lot of texts coming in here. So let's start with Lacrosse guy who says, "Do you have to sit next to Ralph?" Ew, which is just wrong. I like Ralph, man. Like busting his chops, sure, but I also just like Ralph. Just a cool dude.
If the cross guy comes in here, I'll sit next to him.
Then what, Lacrosse guy? Las Toby says, "Don't be mean, Keon. Mr. Wilbur can't see you have no love for you." Oh
wow. God. That's not right.
No, it's not. I don't know why Mr. Wilbur keeps listening, but I'm glad he does.
Yeah.
I'm glad he's a good sport about everything because, my God, man, sometimes Jeffrey and Randy will let loose on Mr. Wilbur, and I'm like, wow, there's no universe where I would have thought to say that out loud.
It's all right. They're going to hell.
Fair enough, I guess. Walter Mellon says, "Hey, Keon, does it say whether or not Draymond will be getting paid during this suspension?" I don't believe he will be. I didn't see anywhere that really specified whether it was a paid or unpaid suspension, but I don't think that he is, honestly. Fish Tank says, "Chandler Jones, Draymond Green, and Antonio Brown walk into a bar." I don't even want to know where that joke goes. Honestly, it could go in any number of directions, and none of them are good. Pull the Plug says he will never stop being a dirty player, ever. And maybe not. I don't know. But I do think that the league is finally making some move to try and correct the behavior. I do think that the biggest problem that they had with Draymond was he has a really long history of this. And if you thought he needed help now, why didn't you think he needed help when he choked Rudy Gobert? Why didn't you think he needed help when he jumped off of Sabonis's chest? Why didn't you think he needed help when he kicked Steven Adams in the junk, not once, but on two separate occasions? Like there was plenty of time to address this, and the NBA just didn't do it.
Yeah.
I guess better late than never, but
this may be the craziest one, though. Maybe that's just why. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's the amount of time between the last one and this one and how crazy this one was.
Yeah.
Because you can't sit there in the press conference and say you didn't mean to hit Yusuf Nurkic in the face when it looked like you aimed at hitting Yusuf Nurkic in the face.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you're a high performance athlete. When you do something with your body, I have trouble believing that you just are incapable of controlling it to that degree. I just don't believe it. Against the Spread says, if the league won't take care of Draymond Green, someone will. Eventually, he will mess with the wrong dude and get his ass handed to him by Rudy Tomjanovich style. Personally, I hope he gets those big fake ass horse teeth knocked out. Now, against the Spread, that's very mean. Those are real horse teeth.
Nice.
Big George says, Ralph, you know I give you a hard time because I like you. Thank you, Will. Do I wish you had more positive things to say about our Phoenix sports teams? Sure. But I do respect your opinions, and you speak your mind with no filters. You and Keon have a good repertoire.
I appreciate that. And you're right. I have zero filters, and that's probably my biggest problem in life.
It's
Look,
a
good and bad thing.
Pros and cons. You don't get pushed around, but it also means that sometimes
yeah,
you will offend an entire room of people.
Yeah, you'll say something and go, did I just say that?
Maybe I should have let that one cook a little bit longer. I don't know. Hefty Lefty says, are there fantasy questions today? Not having Jeffrey get his entire lineup set is going to open up 10 or 15 more questions for texters.
I was thinking the exact same thing.
Yeah. Look, Jeffrey's just doing what he has to do to win, and he has the microphone most Thursdays.
But then he texts him on Saturday. It's like, come on, dude.
Later. That's usually how I handle it. I ask my most basic questions, and then if I have extra stuff, I'll just message him on Twitter, which honestly is the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Outside of the show, I mean, hearing it from his mouth directly is obviously the best. But once the show's over, yeah, just reach out to Scott. He's really nice. It might take him, an hour or two to get back to you because the dude has a life, but it seems like not much more outside of fantasy football. He eats, sleeps, and breathes it.
Yep.
So yeah, but to answer your question, Hefty Lefty, not to derail the show any further, yes, we do have Scott Engel, the King, on today. He's going to answer everybody's fantasy football questions. And enjoy your 10 to 15 extra minutes to have your lineup set this week. Canadian Butt Thunder says, hi, Keon and Ralph. I, for one, like Ralph Romano since he is a hockey fan. I'm a Raptors fan, though. What do you guys think about my Raptors? They are 10-14 and in a number 10 play-in game spot. I wish Drake would go away. Well, we all wish Drake would go away. That's a unanimous feeling here on the Daily Blender. Drake is profoundly annoying. And then on top of that, I personally don't enjoy any of his music. So that's he's got a couple of hits that I guess I like, but overwhelmingly his entire discography is to me. So the Raptors, I like the Raptors sort of. It just feels like they find themselves in NBA purgatory more easily than most teams, where if you're at number 10 for a playing game, like you can't play for a title, but you're also not bad enough to be where the lottery teams that are going to get difference-making players are going to be. So that's obviously a tremendous issue there. But I mean, I like Pascal Siakam. I'm blanking on the name of the new Raptors coach, but I like him so far too. I just think that they've got to figure out a way to either get more pieces on that team or figure out what to do with Siakam and Scotty Barnes, because those are two guys that you could trade and get a whole lot back for. And maybe they might actually have to reset a little bit if, getting a title is something that they're interested in doing. But if they're interested in just going to the playoffs every year and, first, second round, and then you're bounced, if that's what the issue is, then yeah, they're in a decent spot already.
Yeah, agreed.
602's Pats fan says, I got my money on Chandler Jones on that bar fight. Oh, optimistic place where you took that there, 602 Pats fan. Just it's going to end in a fight. And actually, now that I think about it, you're probably not wrong. Ralph is a freaking bandwagon fan, says Silver Pops, but he's like a mole. He's in your skin. He grows on you. Just kidding, Ralph. You're pretty cool.
Man, it's felt like I'm talking to my wife when I hear things like that. We'll leave that there.
Yeah. I'm gonna rephrase your text here, bandwagoner, because I'm not sure that I can say that on the air. Why is quote unquote needs help a euphemism for he's a jerk? Bandwagoner did not say jerk. He named a part of the human anatomy, but because it is a euphemism for that. It's just like Draymond Green has had plenty of time to work on his mental health, if that's what the issue is here. And if you don't do that, if you have issues upstairs and you don't do that, that is kind of a jerk thing to do.
Right.
In the same way that if you're sick, if you have the flu and then you start coughing on everybody, yeah, it's kind of a jerk thing to do, that you didn't try to get better. You took no medicine, didn't rest, didn't stay home, or any of the things that you're supposed to do when you're sick. Just another face in the crowd says, don't worry, Ralph. Filters are for air and fuel type systems, not for speaking facts. So
there we go.
There you go.
See, that's what I'm talking about right there. Text of the day right there.
Lost Toby says, I like Ralph. He reminds me of how life could have always been worse. Oh my God. Text did not go where I thought it was going to go. The Wiz says, what music does Keon enjoy? I'm curious. And the Wiz, that's a hard question to answer because I kind of like a little bit of everything. I like a lot of, I guess, a lot of more indie rock. But I love jazz a lot. And I love rap music, but my window of rap is like 2005 to 2015 is when all of my favorite music in that genre came out. So that should tell you something about me, maybe. Walter Mellon says, wait, Canadian Butt Thunder said my Raptors? He's the owner of the Raptors.
What?
Who is the owner of the Canadian Butt Thunder? Does not own the Raptors. He is a Canadian transplant that lives here in Phoenix now. Unless you're saying that the Raptors owner is Butt Thunder, but that's even more confusing, honestly. Yeah. Like we've cleared absolutely nothing up. Spent this entire segment cleaning up the text line. So we're gonna open this can of worms with Giannis, and then we're gonna get to it on the other side. So Giannis has 64 points against the Pacers yesterday. Awesome performance by him. especially when you consider the fact that the Pacers were basically like, what if we played football? What if we played football instead of basketball? Because that's what we're going to do. There was one foul where Giannis was grabbed from around his neck. Why didn't that result in an ejection? I have no idea. But yeah, the Pacers were playing pretty physical with Giannis, and he was still able to get 64 points. And then afterwards, he wanted the game ball. You know, it was a career high for him.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It was a franchise high for any individual player with the Milwaukee Bucks. So he went to go get the game ball. Well, the Pacers took it, and they weren't going to give it back. And this devolved into potentially one of the most childish things I think you've ever seen, where Giannis is being held back by like 4 people screaming for the ball. And the Pacers are screaming back. I think it was Tyrese Halliburton specifically.
Right.
We're not giving it back. We're holding on to it. Rick Carlisle said after the game that it was a misunderstanding, that Oscar Shivwe, who is a rookie on the team, he's from the Congo. It's his dream to play in the NBA, and he scored his first NBA points that night. So they wanted to keep the game ball for him. Sure.
Not buying that.
But that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I'm not buying.
Not buying. That's BS.
I'm not buying it either.
Yeah.
And that is, I understand where Giannis is coming from. I don't think you can just lose your head like that. But I also understand that like that's a big moment for that franchise and for Giannis in particular. And if you have to choose who the ball goes to, the guy who scored a single point, sure, his first one in the NBA,
right,
or the guy who scored 64 and is going to the Hall of Fame, maybe you go with the guy that might be headed to the Hall of Fame.
I mean, didn't he go sprinting into the tunnel to go get the ball?
Yes. Yes. Giannis was about to fight every human being wearing blue to get that ball back.
I mean, I don't blame him. So did he get the ball eventually? Or
he did. He did. Now, he's still suspicious that they didn't give him the real game ball, but
I wouldn't have.
I wouldn't either. That's everything that Giannis has done. I know that he's being criticized a lot, but honestly, everything that he's done is just about everything I would do in the same situation. So yeah. I can't really knock the guy. And I do think that the Pacers, I don't think they were operating with a level of class there.
Yeah, it was kind of cheesy. That was pretty cheesy.
Yeah, like if you didn't want him to have the game ball, you could have stopped him at any time from scoring 64 points on you. That's not, between him and Damian Lillard, they had a combined 105. You didn't stop them.
I mean, but they don't just use one ball the whole game.
No, they don't.
I mean, they could have just taken any of the balls they used and just give one to him and one to the other guy.
They could have, but
made sense.
It would have made a ton of sense.
When the guy scored his first bucket, take the ball out, give it to him, and say, "Here you go."
That ball, and hand it to him.
I mean, that just makes perfect sense. But I get why Giannis freaked out. I mean, I don't know that I would have freaked out to that capacity, but I understand it totally.
Yeah, he was just trying to get this moment. Mark Cuban came out earlier today, even though nobody asked him, and said that what Giannis should really get is not the ball, but the stat sheet, and get it signed by his teammates. But the stat sheet's going to exist forever. I can go on Basketball Reference right now and print off the stat sheet.
That's right.
That's not special. The physical thing I use to score the 64 points, that's what I want.
I mean, you're selling the Mavericks. Shut up. No one cares what you have to say.
Nobody cares what you have to say at all. And also, isn't your team floundering and underachieving? We worry about what's going on in your building.
Exactly.
So that's Mark Cuban weighing in on that. So I'm glad we were able to get that in there because we have some NFL notes to get to before we get to our fan pick'em NFL picks here. We've got more text rolling in here on the Daily Blender, and we will get to those. You're listening to the Daily Blender on 1580 The Fanatic.
Ryan Eagle here from Thursday Night Football on Westwood One. Ryan Leaf and I are set for the Patriots and the Steelers from Pittsburgh this week. Mike Tomlin's squad still in the mix for an AFC playoff spot, but fell to 7-5 last week. Can they get back on the winning track against Ezekiel Elliott and the Patriots? Join us to find out on Thursday Night Football.
Right here on 1580, The Fanatic.
As the weather gets colder, the NFL offers Stay Hot on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. I like putting parlay bets together, hammering the overs, and anytime player touchdown bets always have me on the edge of my seat. So if you're ready to do the same, visit FanDuel.com/win and kick off the NFL season. That's FanDuel.com/win. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
21 plus and present in Arizona. First online real money wager, only $5 pregame money line wager required. First online real money wager, only $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342.
Denise has been playing jazz for 40 years. Last concert, one of the musicians fell sick with RSV. Respiratory syncytial virus, or RSV, is a highly contagious virus that can lead to breathing problems. This time, she's choosing to help protect herself with Pfizer's RSV vaccine, Abrysvo. Abrysvo is a vaccine for the prevention of lower respiratory tract disease caused by respiratory syncytial virus, RSV, in adults 60 years of age and older. Abrysvo is not for everyone and may not protect all who receive the vaccine. Don't get Abrysvo if you've had a severe allergic reaction to its ingredients. People with a weakened immune system may have a decreased response to Abrysvo. The most common side effects are tiredness, headache, pain at the injection site, and muscle pain. Ask your pharmacist or doctor about Pfizer's RSV vaccine, Abrysvo, respiratory syncytial virus vaccine. For full prescribing information, please call 1-844-989-7284 or visit Abrysvo.com. Brought to you by Pfizer.
Can I open it now? I think you've waited long enough.
Yeah, go for it, kiddo.
I already have this baseball cap.
Not this one.
Look a little closer, sweetheart. It's signed?
Yeah, buddy.
I can't believe it.
Do you still have that card all these years later? Do you have trading cards that's been sitting in a box for decades? Scottsdale Cards is who you want to call first. The Valley's card, comic book, and collectibles expert since 1989. Scottsdale Cards is your source to sell your trading cards and other collectibles, including those comic books you've been doing nothing with. We are always interested in buying your vintage sports cards and comic books, certified autographs, memorabilia, and collectibles. So what collectibles do you have stored away? They could be worth thousands. Call or text 480-419-2990. That's 480-419-2990. Or go to ScottsdaleCards.com. That's ScottsdaleCards.com. Or search Scottsdale Cards on your mobile phone today.
Everybody, it's Mark Asher back to tell you about my great friends over at the Lund Mortgage Team. For years, I've been telling you about refinancing, new home loans, all the great stuff that the Lund Mortgage Team can help you with from start to finish. Now, things have gotten a little crazy, right? The rates were bouncing all over the place. Now they're officially higher than they've been in a long time. And now more than ever, I think it's important to have a mortgage professional that has been there, done that. Any Yahoo can sell you a mortgage when it's 2.75%. Those people are going away. The real professionals are the ones that are staying in business and helping their clients through this kind of tough time out there as far as mortgage rates are concerned. Those people are the Lund Mortgage Team. Matt Oliver, Lisa Lund, they've owned this team for a long time, over 2 decades in the Valley. They are the best in the business, and they will walk you through the process, whether it's refinancing now or probably more importantly, a new home loan. Let them do all the heavy lifting for you. Call today, 623-875-9940. That's 623-875-9940. or online, lundmortgage.com.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic. Arizona's new home for sports.
Welcome back to the Daily Blender here on 1580 The Fanatic. And we are chugging along here on a Thursday. We've got Thursday night football on for you, as we do every week. Chargers at Raiders. Do with that what you will. I can't promise you that it's going to be a good game. I understand that Jeffrey has a theory about when two bad teams meet. Two bad teams get together and have usually a great game because they're on the same level. But that being said, the Chargers have failed to score more than 6 points in the last time that we saw them. And then the Raiders didn't score in a game where their opponent scored 3 points. I can't guarantee you that just because these two teams are bad, this game is going to be any good. Because if we end up with another 3-0 stinker, which is not impossible with the two teams that we are looking at, because one team has got Easton Stick at starting quarterback. And the other one, are the Raiders still playing Aiden O'Connell? I'm not gonna lie to you. It's been a little bit since I
They
focused
said that
specifically.
what I
on the
saw
Raiders.
is they said they weren't sure if it was him or Garoppolo.
What? Okay. I didn't know that, and I don't understand what it is that Garoppolo's supposed to do to make things better. It's not like they were good when he was playing, but okay. That is the Raiders this season for you, Raider fans. I really do hope that your team gets better. I like the Raider fans that I've met personally. So
you haven't really met many yet.
Not a ton, but you know, when I've gone out to you know, the Buffalo Wild Wings or the Native Grill and Wings or wherever I go that Sunday, usually Raider fans pretty cool. They're intense.
They're better than Niner fans. I'll say that.
Well, that goes without saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Niner fans. If you offer any criticism of their team at all, fall apart. Just completely hate you for pointing out anything. Like if you don't say that the team is perfect and are Super Bowl bound, you can't get anywhere with them.
I could have people I don't talk to for 10 years, and then the Niners are playing the Seahawks. Next thing you know, I got a phone call. It's like, really? Calling me now?
I can't really say anything about that because I have a group of friends, and I maybe I shouldn't say it quite like that. There's a group of us. We all root for NFC East teams, and the only time any of us talks to each other is when one team beats the other team. So we're all the worst people. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Las Toby said in reference to his joke that he made about you, Ralph, earlier. He said that felt a little mean. I apologize for nothing. So there you go, Las Toby.
Yeah, that made it better, dude. Thanks.
Thanks for letting us know. Silver Pop says, guys, although Green's actions were complete BS, he did remind me of Zangief from the game Street Fighter. Little bit. I'm not very good at Street Fighter, but I know what you're talking about. So Jeffrey and Randy went to the Lakers parade for the in-season tournament, and then they left Ralph behind.
I know I missed it. That's terrible.
I didn't even know they were having a
they're
parade.
not having a parade. That is funny.
Yeah, well, I mean, the banner's already bad, and Charles Barkley said that if they hang that banner, he's going to roast them every week.
But the league's making them do it.
And you know what Charles is going to say? I still wouldn't hang it because he's Charles. He wouldn't. But yeah, no, the league is imposing that. I don't know. I understand that the league feels that they have to legitimize this, but
yeah. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the Lakers winning it legitimized it, period. So we don't need a legitimize it.
I don't think anything could legitimize it. I mean, once you got to the knockout round, I thought that was fun.
Yeah, I thought it was too.
But all of the group play stuff that happened before that,
bogus.
It doesn't mean anything. I wasn't invested in it beyond watching regular season basketball, and I was not going to, every time one team beat another team, pull up the little groups that they made and try and figure out who was in what group every time. They've got to figure out a way to do that better.
You know, why didn't they make the championship game stats count?
That I don't know.
That doesn't make any sense.
No, so Anthony Davis had like a 40-point game.
Yeah, 41 and 21.
Yeah, awesome performance. Not going on the stat sheet. Not going to your season average. Not
That's
going
ridiculous.
to anything. Also, had those stats counted, Oscar Tshiebwe, who Giannis was attempting to get the game ball from, he scored a point in that game. He would have had that game ball. He wouldn't have had.
So that's a really good point.
The NBA could have prevented this entire thing.
Wow.
So there you go. That's a
really good point.
If his points counted there, this whole altercation doesn't actually occur.
Yep.
Fighting Wampa says, speaking of the Greek Freak, Greek Freak should have just went into the maintenance man and started tearing down backboards and hoops if he wanted a real memento for the occasion. I mean, look, that's one way to do it. It's like, all right, if you don't give me the ball, I'm going to take your rim. That's sure. That's one way of handling it. I think that somehow that way is worse.
Probably.
But that's a way. Beer Bob says, guys, unless the Patriots are playing the Steelers again tonight for a second week in a row, think you guys got the wrong soundbite for Thursday night football. Yeah, the thing is, I believe, and don't quote me on this because it's not my department, but I believe that stuff is satellited in from Westwood One. So I don't know that that's on us. They've got to figure out what's going on with them, and
they didn't want to admit who's playing tonight.
Yeah, look, I mean, they were ashamed. We're ashamed to be broadcasting, and I'm sure they're ashamed of it too. So I don't know what to tell you, but yeah, Patriots Steelers turned out to actually be okay. Unlike this game, which I don't see any possibility of that happening.
Nope.
Big George says, question for Keon. Will we get a college football dance party bowl edition this year where you predict each and every bowl game? That would be a fun segment. I think we would have to figure out a way to do that weekly because there are so many bowl games.
Yeah, no kidding.
And it's bowl games of like, I haven't watched every single team. I tend to narrow in on the Power Five because look, I watch a lot of basketball and I watch the NFL as well. At some point I have to stop watching TV. My girlfriend will not allow me to sit there and never talk to her and just watch sports all the time. I have to draw a line somewhere.
I mean, I just want your prediction for the Pop-Tart Bowl. That's all I care about.
The Pop-Tart Bowl. The fact that I'm not sure whether or not that's a real bowl is.
I think it is.
is the issue there. I was like, is he messing with me right now?
No, I believe I saw the Pop-Tart Bowl. I could be wrong.
The Pop-Tart Bowl. This is just silly. I think that what makes it sillier is all the sponsorships that they have attached to these bowl games, because then you have the bowls and then it's, you know, the Meineke Car Care Bowl, and you're trying to figure out like who on earth even cares about this besides Meineke. I don't know. I have no idea why each and every bowl needs to be sponsored. Like I'm watching a bowl game. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out how the money is being made. Because I'll watch a game and the stadium will be maybe a quarter full for some of these.
Because nobody cares.
Yeah. And then it's sponsored by Sony. But it's just like, how? Nobody's watching this game.
There is a Pop-Tart Bowl with Kansas State and NC State.
Oh my God.
And they have an edible mascot.
And
so that's a good thing.
That could actually be a good game too. It's just it has such an inconsequential, useless name. Let's see here. Mars Bars 805. Oh, well, let me answer Big George's question real quick. Maybe we'll figure out what the dance party stuff looks like coming up, because I do want to get to it. I don't know if it's, hey, we're gonna just do all the bowl game stuff, or if we're gonna just transition to college basketball and start doing the college basketball dance party. Mars Bars 805 says, happy Thursday, fellas. I'll take an 805, please, and go Raiders. And then he also says, go Lakers, which, you know, you're lucky that Jeffrey's not here, because
I'll take that.
He typically would not read those.
Good man.
I don't have any specific hate towards the Lakers personally.
No, it's toward me.
Well, no, I just like making fun of you through the Lakers. Like if they
you can't do that this year.
No, not right now. Not right now.
Or last year.
But I'll be waiting. I'll be waiting. Don't slip up. So we've got a few texts to get to. We will get to that here on the other side. We've also got all of our fan pick'em picks. So all of this delightful NFL news that I wrote down and expanded on and wasted all that time preparing for. Guess that's going to be for tomorrow. If any of it is still relevant, I guess that's how that's going to go. Later on, we've also got Scott Engel, Scott E. the King on Twitter. You can follow him there. He will be joining us on the show to help us get through our fantasy football picks, but more importantly, your fantasy football picks. And you've got maybe 10 or 15 extra minutes to get those fantasy football questions in when that happens. The Daily Blender on 1580, The Fanatic.
Did you know gas goes bad in as little as 30 days? Bad gas can cause rough starts, poor performance, or no starts at all. Stable, America's #1 fuel stabilizer, ensures quick and easy starts after storage. Stable's proprietary formula keeps fuel fresh for 2 years, outperforming competitors. Whether it's your car, truck, boat, lawnmower, leaf blower, weed trimmer, ATV, motorcycle, or anything else with an engine, when you store, start with Stable.
Can I open it now? I think you've waited long enough.
Yeah, go for it, kiddo.
I already have this baseball cap.
And not this one.
Look a little closer, sweetheart. Signed?
Yeah, buddy.
I can't believe it.
Do you still have that card all these years later? Do you have trading cards that's been sitting in a box for decades? Scottsdale Cards is who you want to call first. The Valley's card, comic book, and collectibles expert since 1989. Scottsdale Cards is your source to sell your trading cards and other collectibles, including those comic books you've been doing nothing with. We are always interested in buying your vintage sports cards and comic books, certified autographs, memorabilia, and collectibles. So what collectibles do you have stored away? They could be worth thousands. Call or text 480-419-2990. That's 480-419-2990. Or go to scottsdalecards.com. That's scottsdalecards.com. Or search Scottsdale Cards on your mobile phone today.
At Granger, we're for the ones who specialize in saving the day and for the ones who've mastered the art of keeping business moving. We offer industrial-grade supplies for every industry with same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders, all backed by real people ready to help. So you can get the right answers and products right when you need them. Call quickgranger.com or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
Greg Clark Automotive Specialist, located on the southwest corner of Bethany Home and 19th Avenue, servicing Valley automobiles for 44 years. And we're offering our fall inspection on the belts, water pump, radiator, and hoses. Also, our brake service inspection, recommended every year to prevent repairs and ensure top performance. For guaranteed family touch service, contact us at 602-246-2881. Highly rated by Google. Online at gregclarkautomotive.com. Mention the Fanatic to get 10% off.
This is Joan, enjoying some me time up on the rim. This is Simon and his friends paddling the Salt River. And this is Brad is. Well, no one knows where Brad is. What they all have in common is that they went to azmbdnow.gov to quickly and easily renew their registration or 30 other services. So go to azmbdnow.gov and get more time to enjoy all the things you love.
Sponsored by ADOT in partnership with the Arizona Broadcasters Association and this station.
KQFN Tempe. Also transmitting on K25CD Phoenix at 99.3 FM. And K240U Fountain Hills at 95.9 FM.
All right, people, settle down.
Because it's time.
Time for what?
Showtime.
When does it start?
Right now. 3, 2, 1.
Let's get on with the show. Let's do it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Daily Blender here on 1580 The Fanatic. We're broadcasting live from the Harmon Solar Studios. I am alongside Ralph from Harmon Solar, but we're not talking about solar. We're about to talk about football, and you're joining us on the text line, 888-368-1580. That's how you get your text read. That's how you get involved in the show. I feel like I didn't say the number to this show often enough last segment. So I'm going to go ahead and correct that and give it to you one more time. 888-368-1580. That is how you get involved in the show. And we've got our NFL fan pick'em picks coming in. So of course, as we keep going, you keep texting and we will get to you as we can. We've got a bunch of games on the Fanatic for you this weekend. And so we will go through all of the games that are airing on the Fanatic first, and then we'll get to some of the other games as well. And then in hour number 3 or half hour number 3, you know how it goes. We've got Scott Engel, Scott E. the King, joining us on the program to help us with your fantasy football picks. So any decisions you need to make as we head into the playoffs here for fantasy football, those of you that made it, I did not. So, for whatever that's worth. But those of you that made it, you got any questions you need, any lineup setting you have to go, and it has been brought up on a couple of occasions today that, look, Jeffrey looks out for number 1 when it comes to fantasy football. And if he has a fantasy football expert anywhere around him, he will set his lineup first, and then, the rest of us are fighting for scraps. So you don't have to do that today. You don't have to do that today. All of that is going to be happening for you. Let's clean up the text line first, and then we will get to a lot of these picks. Thunder the Santa Barbarian says Niner fans are often San Francisco Nats fans, which Nats spelled with a G, as in the bug. They are especially salty right now because the Nats offered Ohtani more money than the Dodgers Yet Otani still chose the better team and will be wearing blue come April. Burn in hell, Giants.
Absolutely. That is another text of the day right there. Why would you want to be in San Francisco when you could play for the Dodgers?
I'm pretty sure Otani looked at his wherever it is that he lives in LA, his his condo or whatever, and was just like, why move?
Why would you? To go live in the Bay Area? That pit?
See, I've never been, so I can't even make fun of it.
Oh, it was nice 20 years ago. It's a pit now.
I'll take your word for it because I have heard a lot of that. Silver Pop said Keon sitting there watching sports and ignoring her is just training and prep for marriage. I mean, don't take my word for it since I've had 2 failed marriages.
But he's right.
I mean, I'm trying not to do that. And she does know that a lot of this is I genuinely love sports, but also like there are games that I'll watch that I wouldn't normally watch for work. I mean, like I watch as many Suns games as I can. I watch as many Cardinals games as I can because I got to talk about them. So, she gets that stuff. And then, of course, she also understands that I have my own teams that I watch and root for.
So she's understanding right now.
Yeah, she's understanding right now. So
yeah. As soon as you say I do, suddenly that changes.
See, this is the thing that I do not understand. And a lot of my family members do this too, where they're like, yeah, of course, obviously you want to get married. It's going to be one of the best things to ever happen to you. And then moments later, describe marriage as though it was the worst thing that could happen to you. I'm not saying I'm getting like a cold feet situation, but I'm like, man, do I want to get married? Because it doesn't sound like anybody's enjoying it.
If you find the right person, it's great. You just got to find the right person. I would say 3 out of 4 doctors don't find the right person. So
yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point. Las Toby says Ralph seems like a Jimmy Kimmel Bowl kind of guy.
Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah, Jimmy Kimmel had a whole bit that he did a few years ago where he just bought a sponsorship for a bowl game, and it was a joke at first, but now he legitimately sponsors a bowl game.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Cheez-It Citrus Bowl, Wasabi Bowl, Tax Act Bowl, Tony the
Tiger Bowl.
Tony the Tiger Bowl. Lost Toby, tell me that's not real.
No, that's real.
Oh my God. Guaranteed Rate Bowl, which I know is some of the worst names. Yeah, the Tony the Tiger Bowl is actually hurting my feelings right now. That's just sad.
Back in the day when you just had the Orange Bowl, the Rose Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, the Cotton Bowl, those were great. And then sponsorship came into play, and now you have all this stuff.
Yep.
Sucks.
And we may get into some of this tomorrow because money is money is destroying college sports.
Money is king.
It's king, but it's also going to ruin the thing that it's funding. So we're going to get into that a little bit later. We've got NFL stuff to get to. Silver Pop says, Keon, it's your job though. I was a freaking banker. I couldn't make the connection. I'm not going to lie to you. I did somewhat come to radio because I didn't want to actually have a real job. That I'm not going to say that that's not a motivation that I had. And then it turns out like there's actually real work here too. You can never escape it. The only thing that I've really earned myself is I got to watch the sports for work. So that's all I've earned. I haven't earned anything else. Hefty Lefty says the happiest people with Otani going to the Dodgers are the Japanese media that are paid to follow him around everywhere. Now they don't have to move. Yeah, because they're not getting $700 million. So them moving is a whole lot more inconvenient than Shohei moving. Shohei was going to get paid regardless.
Imagine when they pick up his buddy, that pitcher. They're going to go crazy over there.
Yeah.
He was part of the pitch. He's coming there.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why he was able to, or they were able to convince him is, hey, look, we're going to get you, your fellow countryman here, and he's gonna join you, and you could dominate this thing together. So,
and they could talk in the clubhouse. That'd be good.
That's true because Shohei hasn't mastered English yet, but I don't know if Shohei is like Ichiro was, where Ichiro actually did know English, but he was just so self-conscious he never could.
Right.
He never could actually do it, or if Shohei just doesn't know anything and just won't learn because he doesn't have to.
Yeah, he doesn't want to. He doesn't have to. I guess when you make that kind of money.
Yeah, look, if you have enough money where you can just pay someone to translate for you at all times, first off, that's great. Secondly, you can definitely blow people off in the name of not understanding them properly, or having your translator say things that you didn't actually say. There are so many cool ways to actually go with that. Killer Rabbit says marriage has been awesome for 20 years. Tony the Tiger Bowl and Pop-Tart sounds like smoking weed and getting the munchies for football, which I'm not going to say that that's not a thing that some of these bowl committees are doing, because some of the stuff they do just doesn't make any sense.
Nope.
Lost Toby says Bay Area is a pit. Coming from an LA fan is crazy.
It's not crazy. LA's got a lot of pit areas too, but the Bay Area is a pit on steroids, and you know it.
Oh boy,
steroids.
Well, we could be spending the rest of this segment arguing about how much of a pit various parts of California are.
I'd like to.
But we have NFL fan pick'em picks to get to. I'd love to, Ralph, but boy, god darn, we just don't have enough time today.
So are we going to have Jeffrey and Randy picks?
We're not actually.
They didn't give you picks?
They did not give me their picks. With Jeffrey didn't want to. And Randy had some stuff going on where he just couldn't. So
I
are.
Should give Randy's picks and you should give Jeffrey's picks.
Jeffrey's pick. Well, then they're just going to pick something else anyway.
No, they have to pick whatever we say.
Well, we could say that, but seeing as how, you've got the sponsorship. Maybe you've got a little bit more power than I do. I don't. They will not listen to me. They what they're going to do is look at each other and then look at me and then laugh. That's the order of events. When I say whatever I picked for you is what you're going to get, because obviously I'm just going to pick the worst picks for you and try to pass you. That's the plan. Or just pick nothing. Pick nothing for you at all.
Yep.
So let's start with tonight, because we have to, because we're contractually obligated. Unfortunately, Chargers and Raiders doing battle tonight. Ralph, who do you have in this one?
I need the music, or I can't say.
All right. Well, I'm gonna have to. I didn't think to set up the music.
Oh, that's okay.
Let me go ahead and get that done there. If you start talking, I'll have the music going.
Okay, that's fine. I can honestly say I think this could be a 0-0 tie, which I think would be funny as heck.
That's what I'm rooting for.
Yeah, I think that would be awesome. Definitely take the under. It's only 35. This Stick kid, he actually didn't look that bad last week. He was he threw for 179 yards, 13 for 24. The Raiders just look so bad. This game just sucks. It's just a horrible game. I heard that the running back for the Raiders he's questionable right now. He might be out as well. So that just makes it even worse. You would think you just take the home team because you should. I'm not going to. I'm going to take the Chargers. I'm gonna get on the Stick bandwagon, and hopefully he has a good game after practicing all week, and we'll see what happens. But I'm going to go with the Chargers.
Yeah, I'm not 100% opposed to Easton Stick. I just think that he doesn't have a whole lot to work with right now.
Right.
That's the major issue. I don't know how healthy Keenan Allen is going to be for this game. I know that on the list of potential injuries for this game, there are a ton of them for both sides. But I just don't like where the Raiders are at all, man. The Raiders are in hell. It's
literally
hard. Yeah, it's hard to pick the Raiders. These are the guys that are questionable or probable for the Raiders right now: Josh Jacobs, Max Crosby, Devontae Adams.
So nobody important.
Yeah, nobody important on a team that was struggling when they were all there. I don't think this is going to be very good for the Raiders. And even though the Chargers, again, starting Easton Stick, who we have not seen play, or at least not seen start in the NFL.
Right.
And even though the Chargers are a little dinged up too, they're not quite as dinged up. They do have a Keenan Allen issue. He is actually ruled out tonight. He's got a heel injury, which makes Quentin Johnston potentially the best receiver that the Chargers have, which is not good news. Because I'm not saying he's a bust. I tend not to say that kind of stuff in a guy's first year, because people do figure out stuff later sometimes. But he's a giant receiver that's not very fast and gets beaten all the time at the catch point. That's not good either. This game's going to be so awful. I will begrudgingly take the Chargers. I don't feel good about anything that we just talked about there, though.
You can't.
You just absolutely cannot. Las Toby says, call them live and make them do picks or check if they have picks online. I mean, they're going to put their picks online. I just don't know if they've done it yet.
Jeffrey will put them after the games, but he'll put them up.
Okay. All right. I don't. That is not possible. You absolutely cannot put picks up after the game.
I know he's doing it.
Let's see here. Silver Pop says, in regards to the language barrier, I was born in Mexico, so I habla many a time. I've had someone approach me in English and I just don't want to talk to them. And I say, sorry, no habla. But that's exactly what I would do. Look, if I knew another language well enough, I would just use that as my excuse to not talk to people constantly. Not because I'm a recluse, but because I'm kind of a recluse. Anyway, Hefty Lefty says the biggest problem for Easton Stick is that he isn't playing hockey. This has angered the sports guys. I mean, yeah, with a last name like Stick, if you were playing hockey, that would be.
You could play quarterback and carry a big stick.
You could, but that would be a metaphor. Where if you did it in hockey, you would just literally be.
Well, you wouldn't know that unless you were in the locker room. But it's possible.
That's true. The stories about Nick Foles. The story. So moving on to Saturday.
Yeah.
So we're not going any further down that rabbit hole than we have to. Vikings at Bengals, which is a game that actually could be good, maybe, but also could be terrible. There really is no way to know. I'm leaning towards the Bengals right now, even though it's hard for me to admit that Jake Browning is good.
Look good.
It's been 2 games now, and if it's 3, then all of a sudden that's a trend in my opinion. But for a guy that's had to step in on short notice on multiple occasions, he does have some bad games in there. He does have some stinkers, but when he's been more prepared to play, he looks like he knows what he's doing. He looks like he knows, what to do, how to avoid pressure, and most importantly, how to just throw the ball to Jamar Chase, even when he's not open. Just throw it to him, and good things tend to happen. Jake Browning's figured that out. I think the Vikings have a big problem, which is that they're not sure whether or not Justin Jefferson, who would be their answer to Jamar Chase, they're not sure if he's playing. Who do you have, Ralph?
Well, I think the Vikings need to put Justin Jefferson on the shelf and just let him heal for next season. This season's gone, in my opinion. That's just me saying that because I want them to lose because they're right ahead of the Seahawks.
A little bias.
A little bias.
Bias creeping in.
I'm kind of with you. I kind of like Cincinnati. I was really surprised last week at how well they played, how well Browning played. And like you said, 2 is kind of like you start questioning 3 in a row. Yeah, maybe he's got it figured out. I don't know. I wasn't expecting this. They're at home. I'm right now. I'm leaning to Cincinnati. That's who I've got ticked right now. I might change it. I'm not sure, but right now I'm going to stay with Cincinnati.
Yeah, I'm in a similar spot. I just like how consistent they've been with Browning, and I think that their defense has been good enough. It's not great. They do give up, a ton of yards, but when it comes to giving up points, they're around that like 19th in the league range. Not great, but they've been better lately. So I kind of like that. By the way, we're not the only ones who are thinking this. When you look at the number of bets coming in on the money line, 86% of bets going towards Cincinnati. So if you want to know that you're not crazy, that would be how you know that you're not crazy. The Steelers and the Colts will be playing each other Saturday, 2 p.m. here on 1580 The Fanatic. And this game is it's an uninteresting game to me. I mean, Mitchell Trubisky versus Gardner Minshew doesn't exactly turn the lights on, in my opinion. But I do think that this has a potential to be a game where both of these teams can score a lot. Because I don't think that the Colts are particularly good at stopping anybody. So there's that. The Colts are 29th in the league, points per game, 25th in yards allowed. So pick a metric that you want to. The Colts are not going to stop you from scoring the football. But somehow they are 8th in points scored. So, they end up being in every single game that they play because they actually can move the ball. And Gardner Minshew does try to give the ball to the other team a lot. So that's obviously a major issue. But I do like the Colts offense. And I think that it's really a really consistent offense. I just don't trust the Steelers to score consistently. The fact that they scored, 22 points last week or whatever it was, that seems like an aberration to me. That's not what the Steelers typically are. I think they'll score more points than usual because they're playing the Colts this week. But the Colts are going to be able to put points on the board themselves, even without Jonathan Taylor, who's been ruled out for this game with a thumb injury. I'm going Colts. Who you got, Ralph?
So, I mean, the Colts really surprised me last week losing the game that they did. So that kind of turned me off them a little bit. And I started looking at some stats here, and I noticed the Colts are 2-9 in their last 11 at home, which makes no sense. We talk about being bad at home. They're bad at Lucas Oil Stadium.
They really are.
Games. But, the Steelers are 4-0 at Lucas Oil Stadium.
Oh.
Which is really – that jumped at me. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
So I originally was thinking Colts, and I started looking at that going, I might have to take a long look at the Steelers in this game. And I get what you're saying with Trubisky and all that. And they did score some points last week, but I'm kind of leaning to the Steelers because just because of those two stats. I'm thinking, maybe they've got something going on there. The Colts, maybe just they're not playing good at home at all. They haven't been doing it. Why is it going to change this week? And I can't think of a reason why it would. So I'm going to go Steelers.
Yeah, those are some good points. I'm not going to jump off of my pick necessarily, but that is a good counter argument to that. I will say that outside of the Cincinnati game last week with Indianapolis, they won 4 out of their last 5. Yeah. Where the Steelers have kind of had a mixed bag. That's been 3 out of the last 5 for them. 2 losses in a row with the Steelers coming off of bye week. So I think that there might be something to the Steelers being really good at Lucas Oil while the Colts have been particularly bad. But I think the Colts are the more consistent team out of the two teams. I'm riding with them. We're going to get to the Sunday picks and the Monday Night Football pick, and then we'll get to a lot of the other games that are going around the National Football League here on 1580 The Fanatic. You're listening to the Daily Blender. I'm Keon, that's Ralph, and we've got more for you right around the way.
Get ready for holiday feast season with Pepto-Bismol.
Uncle Derek's here with his famous fried turkey. Hey, Aunt Mary brought the mac and cheese. Donna's here with the potato salad.
Pepto-Bismol provides fast 5-symptom relief for unexpected stomach upsets. So enjoy the holidays. Pepto has you covered, no matter who made the potato salad.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Pepto-Bismol. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who specialize in saving the day and for the ones who've mastered the art of keeping business moving. We offer industrial-grade supplies for every industry with same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders, all backed by real people ready to help. So you can get the right answers and products right when you need them. Call clickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Ken Barkley here, reminding you to check out You Better You Bet. Why, you ask? Well, because we bring the fun, the insight, and all the wagertainment you need. Plus, hopefully, we win a couple bets along the way. From up-to-the-minute breakdowns of backdoor covers, bad beats, and the cheers and tears that come with them, obviously. Plus, betting analysis from some of the best minds in the sports wagering world. Join myself and Nick Costos and tune into You Better You Bet. Weekdays from noon to 3 on Arizona's sports betting station 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Welcome back to the Daily Blender. You're listening to 1580 The Fanatic, and if you're looking for Randy, if you're looking for Jeffrey, they're out. So you've got us, you've got me, you've got Ralph, and I hope you like it because you're just going to have to deal, unfortunately.
You're lucky.
Or fortunately for you, depending on your point of view. Mars Bars 805 jumping in to say Viva Mexico. Can I say that?
Yeah.
Can I well, I can say Viva Mexico. It's the word after.
Uh-oh.
Not sure if I could say it. I'm not going to go ahead and rock the boat on this one. Listen, I don't make enough money to lose this job. So I like where I'm at. I like where I'm working. I like who I'm working for, and I would like to continue to do that. And I'm not going to put the FCC license at risk. How about that? Lost Toby says, I say no speako English all the time.
No speako English. Oh.
Some of those MLB translators are bad. I don't know if it's just Spanish, but they switch up a whole ass sentence. Lost Toby, there were times where I saw Shohei Ohtani in interviews and he would say like 3 words and then the translator would stretch that out to be a paragraph. And I can't prove it. I don't know Japanese, despite, the amount of anime that I've watched in my life, that's not a good way to learn anything. Because I can't help you without the subtitles. But listen, I'm deeply certain that when the translator speaks for Shohei, he is adding words. He's not saying all of the stuff you just said. He kept the answer short, and you're like, ooh, that doesn't sound grateful enough. And then you added more words. That's what I think is happening with some of these translators. Or maybe the guy's not having a good day. He says something mean, and then the translator says the opposite of what he said so that the image stays nice and clean and shiny. I don't know. But sometimes guys get translated for, and I'm like, that doesn't seem like enough words for what you said.
Imagine if you get fined for what was translated.
Yeah, like if
that'd be interesting, right? So you say something and the guy says what his version, he gets to get fined because of him. You have no clue.
Yeah, like if the translator starts, criticizing officials.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And you didn't specifically name an official, but maybe maybe the translator names a specific guy, and then you get in trouble because the translator decided, you know what, someone's got to bring Angel Hernandez down a peg, and then it's you getting fined. Yeah, that would be.
You better trust your translator.
You got to trust him. Yeah.
Especially if he starts dating an English woman or American woman. Be careful.
Be really careful.
Just saying.
Yeah, didn't know where we were getting that level of advice. Now you know. In the event that you ever want to be a baseball player's translator, got to be careful. Hefty Lefty says the first 2 games we have talked about are Aiden O'Connell versus Easton Stick and Nick Mullins versus Jake Browning, and now we have Mitch Trubisky versus Gardner Minshew. What a wild season. As far as injuries go, this is a nightmare for the NFL. There is no way that the league, who has bent and twisted every single rule they have to protect quarterbacks, there's no way that league can be happy about what we're having to go through right now.
Right.
Because that's 6 backups. you just named 6 backup quarterbacks.
Backups are very important. Now you know why.
Yeah.
Seattle's backup might be playing again. Who knows? It could be 7.
Yeah, that's true. I did see a positive report for that on Seattle, where Geno was supposed to practice today. I actually don't know if he did, but they said he was trending in the right direction to be able to play on Monday night. So we'll see whether or not that actually occurs. But yeah, I do think that this is a disaster season for the NFL. From that point of view, we will get back to the text line, but we've got to push through some of these picks to at least get the games that are happening here on the Fanatic. Buccaneers at Packers is what's going to start Sunday morning. Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped over a Saturday game. The game that's going to be on Money Radio, Broncos at Lions. Let's go there. Which, not a bad game.
No, not really.
Seemed like it could have been probably earlier in the year when it seemed like the Broncos couldn't stop anybody and that Russell Wilson had forgotten how to football and a number of other things. But I think that I think the Broncos have turned things around on both sides of the ball.
I mean, when I look at this game, I think, okay, so the Lions have lost 2 of 3, and they just don't look right. Goff doesn't look right. He doesn't seem to be doing the things he was doing before. And then you look at the Broncos. I think they've won 4 out of the last 5. I mean, they're one loss last week, but they've been on a roll. Russell's been playing really well, and I got to continue that role. I mean, I'm going to take the Broncos because even though it's in Detroit, which I know makes it tough, but I think the Broncos, I mean, they're right there in the play. They might catch the Chiefs here for the division. I mean, they're a game behind them right now. So, I mean, they've made a miraculous turnaround. They're playing good ball. And Detroit's kind of just floundering right now. They're just kind of out there floundering, and they're in danger of, maybe getting caught too. So I'm going Broncos.
Yeah, I'm actually with you on this one. I don't trust the Lions at this particular moment. And Jared Goff, he had a bad game, and I didn't kill him for it. You have bad games. Those happen. And then he had another one. Well, now it's concerning because the whole offense is revolved around the fact that Jared Goff has a big arm and he can push the ball down the field, and they've got speedy receivers that make plays. But when you have an offense where the quarterback is holding onto the ball too long. He's getting caught in the pocket. You know, he seems skittish all of a sudden, that's like young Jared Goff. That's the version of Jared Goff that we thought was a bust. And for whatever reason, he's kind of regressed back to that. Now, I don't know if that's a permanent thing, but it's just one of those things to keep an eye on because, you know, they're first in the NFC North. Fine, but this is a Lions team that hoped to maybe finally win a playoff game for the first time in what, 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, like that's what they're aiming at. And I don't know that you can necessarily get to that target if you've got Jared Goff playing like this. Meanwhile, the Broncos have everything to play for. They're battling to get into the postseason. They're tied for that last wild card spot. Their defense, it's hard to look at the numbers and see how good their defense has been lately because they were so bad to start the year, like historically bad. But the last 3 or 4 games, maybe even longer than actually five games, they've been really good. It's hard to have games where you're scoring more than 24 points against the Broncos, and they're holding teams down. And then because Russell Wilson, he hasn't been great every single week, but he's been really good.
Yeah.
Because he's been able to lead that offense to enough points. I like the Broncos too. The betting public does not agree, by the way. They're leaning towards the Detroit Lions, who are getting 81% of the bets on the money line.
Because if you just look at it, right, it's okay. Lions are at home. They're 9-4. They're better. They're still thinking they're still a good team. So yeah, I get all that, but the reality is when you break it down, the Lions are struggling. The Broncos playing better ball.
Yeah. When you look at total yards given up per game, the Broncos are 30th, and that looks bad.
Yeah.
But that's because first 5 weeks, including 1 week against the Dolphins where they gave up like 500 yards.
Right.
Like, that's going to just blow these numbers out of proportion. I mean, their defense was so bad earlier in the year. I think they gave up like 400 yards to Washington. Like it just has been just a horror show. And then all of a sudden, it's the no-fly zone again. It's you can't really throw on them. And I think that if you're Jared Goff and you're playing well, I can give you the benefit of the doubt against this defense. You're playing like he's playing now. The answer to that question is no. No, I can't trust Jared Goff, and I can't trust these Lions this week. I'll be taking the Broncos too. We've got the Sunday morning game. We've got Buccaneers and Packers, which is not great. It's not a great game. I have been liking Jordan Love lately. I not last week, but just generally, he's been playing better. I think he's been building upon some of the good things that he's done every single week. And I think that the Packers have a guy that they should at least continue to build around and see what he can do as that roster improves. They've got a bunch of young guys on that team at wide receiver that I think they're finally starting to gel in Green Bay. And when you consider that they're playing the Buccaneers have been a solid defensive team, but the fact is they don't score.
Yeah.
Like they really struggle to score the football. And part of that is just the Baker Mayfield experience. He's on your team. There are ups and there are downs. There are games where Baker Mayfield looks like just a bona fide stud. And then 3 weeks of Baker Mayfield being either average or worse. I can't trust the Buccaneers. I don't trust the Buccaneers. I'm taking the Packers. Who do you have?
Yeah. I what really gets me is that Green Bay lost to the Giants. That's crazy for me. But I'm kind of with you. Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield is not a good quarterback in December, especially in Green Bay. He's had some bad experiences there. I'm going to go Green Bay. I like what Jordan Love's doing. I know he's getting a lot of garbage from people, but I think he's been okay. He's better than I thought he would be. Doesn't mean he's great yet, but he's still better than I thought he would be, and I think he'll just get better. I like Green Bay at home in December. I'm gonna take Green Bay.
Yeah, and look, I'm trying to not overreact to last week. How do you give up 24 points and lose to Tommy DeVito and the Giants? I'm still trying to wrap my head around that.
I mean, I like Tommy Cutlets, but I mean, I just don't see it.
Yeah, look, he's a cool dude.
Yeah, he's
but
a cool dude.
there's no getting around it. He's not a starting caliber quarterback.
No, he's a showpiece.
Yeah, look, I hope that he is a backup for the Giants forever. That's a good fit. I just want him to be in New Jersey for the rest of his life because he seems to love it. They seem to love him over there.
That's cool.
Yeah, and he can just be the guy that everybody likes in that locker room. He does seem to be that already. So I want that for him. But he has no business putting 24 points on your team. That's the point of bringing all of that stuff up. And the Packers gave that up. But the Packers defense outside of that has actually been good. They're the 11th defense in the league when it comes to points given up per game. They hold teams to around 20. And at that point, you should win a lot of football games if your offense is any good or bordering on competent, which Matt LaFleur, now Jordan Love, everybody's kind of getting on the same page. I like that for the Packers. Really, really stinks there for the Buccaneers, but you know what? They're going to still be in playoff contention because the NFC South is awful.
Well, yeah, and at 6 and 7, you're still in contention in the NFC right now.
At 6 and 7, they are first in the NFC South.
Yeah, that's
like to lose that. To lose this game doesn't knock them out of anything. Honestly,
crazy.
This is one of my problems, by the way, with the NFL just picking a division winner to go to the playoffs because you could be a division winner with a losing record. My team's done it twice.
Mine too.
And yours was more successful when you did it, but
yeah.
Still, you can do that, and then some completely worthy team is just left out of the playoffs.
That's true because I mean Tampa Bay is going to be like a 4 seed. I mean, with a bad record.
Yeah, with a bad record. If it's not Tampa, it's going to be Atlanta, who will also be a 4 seed with a bad record, or New Orleans, who will also be a 4 seed with a bad record because they all stink. It's just Tampa Bay just happens to have the tiebreakers for all of those teams. They're all 6 and 7 in the NFC South. They deserve each other, but none of us deserves to see them in the playoffs. That's a problem for future us, though. Sunday Night Football. This is actually going to be, in my opinion, the game to look out for the weekend. Ravens at Jaguars. You got Trevor Lawrence. He's going to be 1 week more removed from the high ankle sprain that looked like it was going to end his season. If you want to talk about a potential for seeing even more backups in the NFL. I'm glad that didn't happen with the Jaguars. And you've got the Baltimore Ravens, who they've been criticized, and everybody is saying similar things about the Ravens that they say about the Cowboys, which is the record's good, but I can't put my finger on why it is that I can't trust you. What do you say, Ralph?
I say that I don't like Raven Kid or his team. Let's just put that out there.
You haven't been subtle about that, but go on.
So let's just say that. How you doing, Raven Kid? But when I look at the Ravens, I mean, the number 2 defense, the number 6 offense overall, that looks great. But to your point, who have they played? They just haven't played anybody. But Jacksonville, man, they've been up and down too. They haven't been as consistent as they should have been or we thought they would be. So to me, that makes this a really tough game. I mean, Jacksonville is sitting on top of the division right now. This is an important game for them. This is a playoff game for them. They need to win this game. The Ravens are sitting on top of the AFC right now, which shocks the heck out of me. And it might actually stick because the AFC seems to be a bit weak this year. And they actually might be the number 1 seed. But I don't think they're the best team in this game anyway. I'm going to go with Jacksonville because I feel like I trust them a little bit more. I'm not sold on the Ravens yet. I've got to see them win against a good team or two. And they haven't done that. So I'm going to go Jacksonville.
Okay, I understand that. I think with the Ravens, I think the Ravens might be the most well-rounded team in the AFC, which is exactly why they are where they are, number 1 in the conference. It's not that they're the best team, but they're really deep. So it's hard for them to lose games against average opponents, subpar opponents. You know, they played the Rams last week. Matthew Stafford had one of those Matthew Stafford games where you're like, oh my God, how did he make that throw? You know, he's throwing in double coverage and it doesn't matter because the ball is on the money, you know, right between the numbers on his receiver. And the Ravens were still able to win that game. But the fact that it took everything that it did, that they had to go to overtime, that a kick return for a touchdown was what won it for them. Yeah, there's a lot of things to be concerned about with the Ravens. There are also a lot of games where Lamar Jackson has been good, but he hasn't been great. And for, somebody to be not just a player out there that they are hoping to guide the offense to the end zone, but actually Lamar Jackson is considered a game changer, a game breaker. He hasn't really been that this year. And I don't know if it's because they don't need him to or because he can't anymore. But whatever the reason is, those insane Lamar Jackson numbers have been, I think, a lot more inconsistent. My issue with the Jaguars is that Trevor Lawrence, I thought, was missing a lot of throws where he was just normally he would make those throws. He was fine. He had the time in the pocket. He had everything. But I think the ankle is bothering him. And maybe with an extra week, that's not going to be nearly as much of an issue. But I still think that that's part of a problem. Also, the Jaguars have a number of players out. I actually don't think that I could read all the people that they have that are questionable right now because it reads like a CVS receipt. But none of it is good. Travis Etienne is one of the bigger names there. Zay Jones being another one. They are getting Calvin Ridley back, so that's going to help them a lot as well. I like the Ravens in this game in large part, though, because they're just a well-rounded football team. Like they don't have a ton of great players. They're not the Niners. The Niners, you can find like 5 guys on both sides of the ball that are just amazing athletes and amazing players. I think the Ravens have really good players, but they've stayed healthy, and those guys have played up to their potential for the most part. I do think that they might have something with Kyle Hamilton, their safety, who's been awesome this year. He's questionable with a knee injury. That's going to probably end up being a game time decision for those of you who might have the Ravens defense in fantasy football. So we've got Monday night Eagles Seahawks to break down. We'll look at some of the other games. We might even talk about the Commanders. I mean, we shouldn't, but I don't know if anybody wants a good laugh. Maybe we'll do it. God, they're playing the Rams. Yeah, that's not good. So anyway, we've got a bunch of games coming up here to talk about them. We've got Scott Engel. Scott E. the King will be joining us with to answer your fantasy football questions and a bunch of other stuff. So let's go ahead and get to that. You're listening to the Daily Blender here on 1580 The Fanatic.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Go to hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to hims.com/joy. That's HIMS.com/JOY.
For the latest from the world of golf, tune in every Saturday morning from 6 to 8 for the Golf Shop Radio Show, presented by PlayGolfMyrtleBeach.com, the golf capital of the world. Hosts Mark Greenhalgh and Matt Blanchard talk golf from tee to green and everything in between. If you like golf, you're going to love Golf Shop Radio. Before you tee up, drop on in. Welcome to the Golf Shop here on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
So what did the doctor say?
He said I might need surgery.
Wow, it's that serious.
Well, we won't know for sure until I talk with a surgeon, but I'm lost. This is all new to me.
The decision to have surgery isn't easy, but neither is living with pain.
There is an alternative to surgery. At the Naturopathic Physicians Group in Scottsdale, our doctors are experts in full spectrum care using a natural approach and can restore pain-free joint function so you can avoid surgery. Patients come in for a variety of issues, including joint pain, chronic conditions, and issues specific to men's and women's health. We also help restore balance in immune, digestive, and hormone systems, which often improves both immediate physical symptoms and also improves cognition and emotional stability. So when traditional medicine suggests you need surgery, how about taking another approach? Call Naturopathic Physicians Group at 480-451-6161. That's 480-451-6161. Or go to naturopathicgroup.com.
As we plan for our retirement, there are 4 questions we need to ask ourselves or our retirement planning advisor. How much? How long? How safe? And what cost? Let's start with how much. That is, how much income we think we'll need each and every year for the rest of our lives, including all the activities we want to enjoy during our retirement, like travel, recreation, and entertainment. Plus the cost of housing, including repair and maintenance, taxes, insurance, and utilities, as well as the cost of healthcare, including expenses not covered by Medicare.
Enjoy safe, secure lifetime income of 5 to 9% for life, depending on age and deferral period, with no fee deductions and no annuitizing. Guarantees rely on the financial strength of the insurer, so let's compare free in Scottsdale. For more, visit iqannuity.com, iqannuity.com, iqannuity.com.
If it's local, we talk about it. 1580 and 99.3. The Fanatics. The
Welcome back to a Thursday edition of the Daily Blender. Thursday night football is right around the corner. I'm Keon, and I'm in the big boy chair today, filling in for Randy and Jeffrey. Ralph from Harmon Solar is joining me. We are doing our NFL fan pick'em picks, and we have a lot of action going in on the text line. I thought we only had a few texts, and then I refreshed it, and as it turns out, no, we just had a bunch. We just had a lot of them. So let's get to them right now. Silver Pop says, is there a team in any sport more bland and blah than the Colts? The only thing they have going for them is that unicorn mascot. I mean,
even their uniforms are bland and blah.
More bland and blah. The Spurs, if you're saying any sport.
Are they though?
I guess now they have Wembanyama.
Yeah,
It's hard for them to be bland and blah, but there was a few years there where they were bad and also just invisible, and also just with a bunch of guys you'd never heard of.
Yeah,
like I'm seriously watching Jakob Poeltl because he was the best guy on the floor for some points, maybe 3 or 4 years ago for them. So
they're a rebuilding process.
Yeah, but boy, when they rebuild,
they're going to be good.
It's going to be tough. I mean, because Wemby had that back and forth with Anthony Davis the other night. That was fun. That was fun. That was pretty cool. Yeah. Davis put a dunk on his head, and then Wemby went back the other way and threw down a dunk of his own. I enjoyed that a lot. But my answer would be, prior to this season, the Spurs. I can't think of another team, but I don't know if the Colts are. I don't know if the Colts are blah because they don't have Anthony Richardson, who could just be exciting and do a lot of Lamar Jackson type stuff. And once you have Gardner Minshew in there, it's just what are we looking at? I
mean, they're blah like Jeffrey O'Brien. I don't see the difference.
Oh boy, look.
Bland and blah. You don't comment on
that. I disagree with you for starters, but also
you have to.
Even if I didn't, I wouldn't say so. You wouldn't know my opinion on the issue. See, Swazman says, Keon, big victory in fantasy football last week. That was your Super Bowl. It really wasn't. I wasn't expecting to win that one either, and I failed to see honestly what difference it makes for me. That big game needed to happen like 2 weeks before. I started the same people. And look, I get my lineup set too. I asked Scott, I asked Rosalie. I just can't be helped, man. That's really what it is. That's what I've come down to. The Last Optimist says Jaguar mythology is popular in Mexico. Khan should be moving the team to Mexico City, not London, which could be cool. If you do it in a geographical kind of way, but Khan's following the money and he's from London. Yeah. So that's why he wants the team playing there, and that's why they play there 2 times a year. Cardinal Art says rib steak, king crab, asparagus, baked potato for the missus. Pour me a double, Randy. Well, Randy's not here to pour you a double, but I'll go ahead and get you a double there. That's right. I'm tending the bar today. In addition to everything else.
Yep.
Let's see. Las Toby says you can say cabrones. Okay, well, I will venture out on that. I chose to say it there because I've heard Jeffrey say it before.
I said a lot of
and so I'm like, maybe that's going to be my excuse. But you said it. Don't know if it's going to work. So If you don't see me Monday, you know why. Pinocchio says, "Where's Jeffrey? Him and the Squid face off with me in Blender League 12 playoffs, and he goes on assignment to not face my wrath. Page his ankle monitor.
Wow.
Angry Orchard me, Ralph."
Angry Orchard. That sounds good.
Well, the Angry Orchard is really good. Ralph's not tending the bar. I am. There you go. And also, Jeffrey does not run any of the other Blender leagues unless the person running that team has failed to play. Squid is the person you're playing. Jeffrey is, his name is just on the team because each team needs a commissioner and he's the commissioner. But that's it. He's just there to make commissioner decisions. Jeffrey does not make personnel decisions for that team. Screaming Eagle says, "Keon and Ralph, nice job in the absence of Jeffrey and Randy." Thank you, Screaming Eagle. Hefty Lefty says, "I'd love my Broncos to win, but they haven't won on a Saturday game since 2006, so I picked the Lions." Look, man,
I think they're going to do it this year.
You pick. I think they are too, but you know, if you know something about your team, that's your team. You know how many weeks in a row right now I have bet against the Commanders? I'm not going to say it's made me a lot of money because everyone's betting against the Commanders, but it has made me some money. It's free, so I don't see why not. Donnie says, who did you guys take for Vikings Bengals? I took Bengals. I think Ralph did too.
Yeah, we both did.
So there you go. Oaktown Destroyer says, "Looking forward to watching my Raiders play tonight." No, not really. Yeah, neither are we. And we're going to get to this in a second. I'm not looking forward to watching my Commanders play Sunday either. So, you know, we're all in a boat. Silver Pop says, "It's all in the stroke, gentlemen. All in the stroke." Silver Pops, I'm going to need you to explain yourself.
He's talking golf.
I haven't played actually. Would like to, because I'm going to have to, at some point, I'm going to have to retire from pickup basketball. My knees are terrible. Lost Toby says, "The ACLU will represent your freedom of speech lawsuit." Thank you, Lost Toby. Much appreciated. There we go. We got Lost Toby on the legal side looking out for me there. So let's get back to these NFL fan pick'em picks, because we do have Monday Night Football, Eagles at your Seattle Seahawks, Ralph, and a couple of losing streaks coming into this one, because obviously the Seahawks have the 4-game losing streak, but the Eagles have a 2-game losing streak as well, back-to-back losses to the Niners and then the Cowboys. So something's got to give. What is it, Ralph?
Probably me.
Oh no.
You know, it's going to depend. I mean, if you watched the Seattle Niner game last week, the key turning point in that game was when Witherspoon went out. When he went out, their defense on the back end did not look as good anymore, and they kept beating them pretty hard. They went right after where Witherspoon was, and they were very successful. So you got to give him credit for doing that. And to me, it's about him. If he's back there, the defense is different. So I don't know that he's going to play or not. Pete Carroll is saying that he probably will because they get the extra day. So my pick actually hinges on that. If Witherspoon's playing, I'm going to pull for the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks can beat the Eagles. The Eagles are struggling mightily as well right now. They haven't looked very good the last few weeks. Not that Seattle has, but Seattle's lost a couple tough games. They should have won the Dallas game. They should have won the Ram game. The Niner game, like I said, with Witherspoon in there, they were winning that game. So I'm going to hinge it on that one thing. If Witherspoon's playing, I'm going Seattle. If he's not, then I can't go Seattle. I'd have to go against him.
Yeah, I like Witherspoon a lot. He's been awesome. And I don't really like Seattle's pass rush. So like they definitely need those corners to play at a high level. I also think Geno's got to be a big question mark as well. I read that he was practicing today, so that's trending in the right direction. Seems really likely that he's going to play, but it is a groin injury, so good. The thing that I look at though in this game is the time of possession per game. Seattle's last in the league in time of possession.
Yeah.
And the Eagles are third. So the issue that the Eagles have been having is that they can't seem to make teams pay over the last couple of weeks, which is why I do agree with you that the Witherspoon injury is probably going to be the deciding factor on how well the Eagles play, because Jalen Hurts, he's still running around out there. He's still mobile. but he's been dealing with I think an ankle. It hasn't kept him out of anything.
Right.
He's still practicing. He's still playing, so he's going to play. But the fact of the matter is, he's not 100%, and he's more of a pocket passer, and that's where he's a whole lot weaker. So if Witherspoon plays and Jalen Hurts is still kind of limited in how he can play the game of football in his own style, I might be inclined to take the Seahawks. But as things stand right now, with all the injury information that I have,
right,
I'm going with the Philadelphia Eagles.
It's funny. You look at that first half against the Niners, and Seattle, they outplayed them. They were winning. Witherspoon was killing it, and as soon as he left that game, it changed defensively.
Yeah, Witherspoon's locked down. I think that's we don't even have to talk about that anymore.
Yeah, he's sick.
He is a lockdown corner, and you just don't throw the ball over there. And Brock Purdy, and this is where I give Brock Purdy tons of credit because he's a smart dude. Devin Witherspoon's not there. That's exactly where you should put the football.
That's exactly what he did, and it paid off.
Yeah, I mean, if that's going to be their weakness. So
Yep.
I do think that the Eagles have seen that. And I mean, they've got Devontae Smith, they've got A.J. Brown, they've got receivers you've got to contend with as well. All right, let's go ahead and do this for giggles. Washington at the Rams. What is there to say, really? Outside of the fact that if I look at every stat, the Commanders are either near last or last. Except passing yards a game because they throw the ball 14 million times, so they're fifth, as it turns out. They're going to get killed. I mean, the way Matthew Stafford was playing last week against a much tougher Ravens defense, Washington hasn't offered any resistance to anybody they've played in like the last 4 games.
Right.
You know, the Rams have been streaky. They've been inconsistent, but I don't know, when you give them a bad defense, they're going to win those games. And they were able to hang with the Ravens. They beat the Browns. That's a great defense. They beat the Cardinals. Not a great defense, but better than the Commanders. And they beat Seattle, which that's another really good defense. Washington's the worst defense in the league. I don't have nice things to say about this team. They're dead last. They're dead last in defense, both points per game and yards per game. Total yards, average yards, they're last. Like pick a defensive stat category. They are dead last. There's no nice things to say here. So I'm taking the Rams.
Yeah, I really want to take the Commanders because I really want the Rams to lose. But you look at the Commanders, they beat, they beat the Patriots, they beat the Falcons, the Broncos, and the Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't say much.
And somehow didn't beat the Bears.
No, did not.
Which still wouldn't say much, by the way, but they got blown out at home. Ralph.
Badly blown out. I really want to take them. I want every fiber of my being wants them to win this game, and I will be pulling for them. But my pick sheet will say Rams because they're actually playing pretty decent ball all of a sudden. Which I kind of knew was going to happen, and it started to happen. They're playing decent. So I'm going Rams.
So there you go. Those are as many picks as we could get through. Obviously, we're going to have a lot more stuff to discuss tomorrow. We might get into some of the other picks. But we've got fantasy football ahead. We've got Scott Engel, Scott E. the King from GameDay.com. Ralph's fellow Seahawk fan.
Love the guy.
His brother from another mother. So we're going to get to that. And Scott Engel is going to get to your fantasy football questions next. So go ahead and start texting all of that stuff in, and we will get to you as soon as we can. And remember, you can ask more questions than usual now because Jeffrey is not going to be hogging all the time to himself.
What a hog, man.
to set the lineup. You're listening to the Daily Blender here on 1580 The Fanatic.
My ride smells just right, just right, just right, just right. Y'all gotta try that Febreze car. Just right, just right, just right. Yeah. La 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 la. With up to 40 days of consistent sin. All over Febreze car clips right on your bin. You know my car's my happy place. Keep that smile on my face when it smells just right. just right, just right. Yeah, breathe happy Febreze. La 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 la.
There's a reason why conventional healthcare is referred to as practicing medicine. Hi, this is Dr. Hannah Lindsay. At the Naturopathic Physicians Group in Scottsdale, our doctors are experts in full spectrum care using a natural approach. I regularly see patients with a variety of acute and chronic health conditions, including many autoimmune and rheumatological diseases. We can restore pain-free joint function and balance immune, digestive, and hormone systems, which often improves both immediate physical symptoms and overall well-being. We emphasize natural and holistic interventions with lifestyle changes and take advantage of the full palette of care options from traditional remedies to modern science. We collaborate with experts in a wide range of health disciplines, including physical therapists and specialist physicians, referring patients as needed to ensure the most effective care possible. So how about a second opinion on your health? You might just end up feeling like yourself again. Call Naturopathic Physicians Group at 480-451-6161. That's 480-451-6161, or go to naturopathicgroup.com.
Time for some smart saving. Give the gift that lights up their future.
I'm Arizona State Treasurer Kimberly Yee. This holiday season, give the gift of education by opening an AZ 529 education savings plan. You can invest with as little as $15 a month, and anyone can give. Parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, anyone. Visit az529.gov today and give the present of a brighter future.
Now that's smart saving. Sponsored by the Office of the Arizona State Treasurer.
If you're rolling over your 401k to an IRA soon, but not sure if you want to go all in on this crazy market, here's what many retiring professionals are doing. How about a safe and secure IRA offering a contractually guaranteed 10% income bonus that grows 7% annually guaranteed? Your income can double in 10 years. Meanwhile, neither your principal nor your retirement income is ever subjected to a market downturn. Even if the market crashes by 50%, you get the 10% bonus. Your income keeps growing at 7%, and your principal may grow without losses uncapped. You go up with the index, never down. Forward, never back. Get a 10% income bonus with a 7% contractually guaranteed growth rate. I compare over 1,200 annuities with a fiduciary duty and can help you retire and stay retired.
Guarantees rely on the financial strength of the insurer, so compare with leading annuity authority Steve Jurich now. Visit IQannuity.com, IQannuity.com, IQannuity.com.
KQFN Tempe, also transmitting on K25CD Phoenix at 99.3 FM and K240 Rollins Hills at 95.9 FM.
It's time for the third hour.
All right, people, settle down because it's time.
Time for what?
Showtime.
When does it start?
Right now. 3, 2, 1.
Let's get on with the show. Let's do it.
And welcome back to the Daily Blender here on 1580 The Fanatic on a Thursday evening, and we have Thursday Night Football right around the corner here on 1580 The Fanatic. But before we get to all of the NFL football action, or whatever will pass for action in this Chargers versus Raiders game, we've got fantasy football questions to get answered. So make sure you get all of that good stuff in. We will have plenty of time. As previously mentioned, Jeffrey will not be here to set his entire fantasy lineup with the help of our fantasy football expert, Scott Engel. You can follow him at Twitter at Scott E. the King. You can also get his player rankings and sleepers and things of that nature on thegameday.com. Scott, thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah, always good to be here. Thank you.
So we've got, some of these questions rolling in here, but, as always, hosts go first and have questions answered. Ralph is in the playoffs. I am not, so I don't have any questions to ask you. I am on a consolation week bye.
you can still play DFS.
So basically just try and see how many points I can get.
Yeah, you play some daily fantasy sports. It's we got some recommendations over at the game day. Win some money, win a tournament.
There you go.
Okay, I will definitely check all of that good stuff out. By the way, that is thegameday.com. But Ralph, do you have any questions for Scott E. the King?
I'll fill in for Randy and say hello, Mr. King, Mr. the King.
How are you, my friend?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. Getting ready for this great exhibition game tonight.
That's about what it is, too.
Yeah.
And not even a good one.
No, it's not even a good one. You know, the only question I have, I'm just curious more than anything, is Kenneth Walker. What do you think about him this week? I wasn't expecting much from him last week coming back, but what do you feel about him this week?
Yeah, I wrote about this on Seahawks.com this week, where I do my weekly fantasy insider. Some people might be hesitant about Walker, but you know, the Seahawks really need this game, and the Eagles are actually 26th in rushing yards allowed to running backs over the last 4 weeks. So I don't think you can sit Walker, really. I mean, you know, unless you got another really like quality option, say, you know, like Breece Hall or something like that, which a lot of people don't. You really just can't sit Walker based on what a perceived matchup is.
Okay, I mean that makes sense. And you know, I'm
Yeah.
sure you were watching the game last week and you saw that the Seahawks actually played a good first half. If Witherspoon doesn't get hurt, I think it's a different game. But when he went out, that was it.
I think there were other issues other than that, though.
But
Unfortunately,
it was a big one, though.
yeah, it certainly hurt, but you know, there were other issues, you know, across the board that, you know, I don't think one player can fix, unfortunately.
I'm looking for positives.
Well, you know, they got a good schedule after this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's the positive.
Yeah.
And the wild
Look,
card spot still in play.
it's been a great decade. Okay, a lot of NFL fans can't say that.
That's true. Great
Yeah.
point. I love this positive we're getting.
That's a very good point, because it's been a bad 2 decades for me and my commander. So we don't have to go there. Why did I go there? That's the real question.
It's been bad since the 80s for Commanders.
I mean, well, no, there was a Super Bowl in the 80s, or there was a couple in the 80s and the Super Bowl in the 90s. My
That's what I
problem
said.
was,
Well, maybe since like the early 90s.
yeah, my problem was I was born in 1990, so I didn't see any of it.
Yeah.
Just missed out on all the fun.
Sorry about that.
So we've got a Big George question here. Big George is saying, "Hello, Scott the King. I don't have a fantasy football question for this week, since I'm on bye in my standard scoring league as the number 1 seed. But moving forward, would you start the New York Jets or Buffalo Bills defense? I started with the New York Jets defense last week, and it worked marvelously."
It really depends on the matchup. I mean, you know, in fantasy football, there's really not one set it and forget it defense for the rest of the season. You know, we have to look at the schedule. I'm doing that right now. You know, the Bills have the Chargers in week 16, and it actually, you probably can set it and forget it with the Bills if you do have a bye, because they have the Chargers and they got the Patriots the next 2 weeks. So, you know, usually overall, it's like my usual reaction is, oh no, but you know, now we're in the fantasy playoffs, so I shouldn't say that. The Jets have Washington and Cleveland. Washington will give up a lot of sacks, but they'll also score a decent amount of points, and Cleveland's no pushover. So looking at the schedule, I prefer Buffalo for the matchups.
All right, we've got Swazman dropping in. Swazman says, "Hey, Mr. the King, Merry Christmas. Thanks for all the fantasy. Sorry, thanks for all the fantasy help. Question this week: Likely or Freiermuth in the tight end spot playoff game for me?"
Yeah, I can't start Pat Freiermuth with Trubisky at QB. That's easy.
I don't think you like Pat Freiermuth before Trubisky.
He proved me wrong 1 week, but you know, the quarterback situation there was so bad. I just can't recommend him.
That's completely fair.
Yeah.
Tuck says Drake London or Hollywood Brown.
I don't expect a good week for London. The matchup's actually not good at Carolina. They shut him out last time, but you know, Hollywood Brown hasn't been playable pretty much going against the 49ers. They're not terrible on the back end. I mean, they're not great on the back end, but maybe London has a better chance of giving you a decent play. I really don't like either one of those guys, unfortunately.
Hefty Lefty says Geno or Jordan Love. That's his first. It's a two-part.
Jordan Love, I like the matchup. Well, I do like the matchup for Geno Smith. I mean, Philadelphia is you know, their pass defense is not too good, but you know, I really like the matchup for Love this week, and I think he's going to bounce back.
Yeah, he has been really good. And also, does Gino's groin injury factor into that at all?
Here's my fantasy rule. Okay, if the team clears him to play, I clear him to play.
Okay.
Pete Carroll already said in today's press conference that he looked good. If the guy comes back and there's no reports of it hindering him, I'm not going to make up extra worries, because that's what we do in fantasy football. We make up extra worries and we drive ourselves crazy. We can't do that.
Tell me about it. That's basically my entire fantasy football experience. Generally, is me overthinking things, and then I bench somebody I should have started, and then I regret it. I regret it a lot.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. I don't like Josh Allen against Dallas. Should I play Tommy DeVito? That's all overthinking.
Oh man, God help the person that did that. Raheem Mostert or Justin Jefferson, also for hefty left.
That's really a tough one. Raheem Mostert leads the NFL in rushing touchdowns with 16. Devon Chan might not play this week. Jefferson, I still don't downgrade him a lot because Nick Mullins is a decent backup quarterback, but I'm actually gonna go with Mostert here. He has the most touchdown rushing games in the NFL with 5, and had 2 against the Jets last time we played them.
All right. Las Toby checks in and he's saying, I got Achane, Elliott, Singletary, and Jay Reed on my bench. I'm starting Jay Ford in flex, and Chandler is running back 2. Do I keep it or make some changes?
Make some changes. Chandler, I don't understand why everybody's so excited about him. Even the preseason, he was mediocre. Ford doesn't give you great numbers. Elliott, I like him a lot. Kansas City 29th in rushing yards allowed to running backs over the last 4 weeks, 25th in receiving yards. If the Patriots can stay in the game, then he gets rushing. If he doesn't, then he gets catches. I don't know if Achan's going to play. It depends on his toe injury. And I think you mentioned Jaden Reed, too. There's no way I'm benching Jaden Reed. I mean, he's playing so well in Tampa Bay. Is 29th in fantasy points per game allowed to wide receivers. You did mention Jaden Reed, right?
He did.
Yeah, so you got to get you have to get Reed and Elliott in there and get Ford and Chandler
out. Beer Nuts says CJ Stroud or Joe Flacco.
Well, CJ Stroud's probably not going to play, so that's an easy decision.
Well, and there you go. And do you actually like Flacco, or is it just that's the best of those 2 particular options?
Well, if Stroud's not going to play, then you can't play him. So
fair. But just for anybody, say somebody just wanted to scoop up Joe Flacco, would you recommend that, or would you say find somebody else?
We have to put respectfully. We got to put context behind it.
Okay.
Who do you have on your roster? Who's your backup now? It's like I'm not going to play him over Matthew Stafford.
Right. Okay, that makes a ton of sense. Swazman says, second question, Jordan Love or Justin Fields?
You always got to go with the rushing quarterback. I don't like Fields' matchup. He is listed as one of my busts on thegameday.com this week because you got to lower expectations for him, I think. But, I can't quite play Love over him.
Okay, so that's another one of the context deciding what you're doing there.
In a tight decision like that, I'm always going to go with the running quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Mr. the King, and this is Screaming Eagle.
Hello.
In the flex, start Ty Chandler or Zay Flowers? Thank you.
Should we really answer a question from an Eagles fan this week? And Seahawk fan?
I don't think Screaming Eagle is an Eagles fan. I
if
think
he is, then
oh, okay. All right. By the way, I don't think the Eagles have beaten the Seahawks in 15 years.
That's right. That's right.
Is that true? That's one of those stats that feels wrong.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah. Anyway, I'd go with Zay Flowers. I'm not a Ty Chandler fan fantasy wise. Even the preseason, the numbers were mediocre. He could never push Alexander Madison for the starting job when Madison was healthy. They even acquired Cam Akers, before he got injured, to push him ahead of Chandler on the depth chart. I feel like they're starting Chandler because he's like one of the last guys standing. I would not be surprised if Ken Anangulu at some point maybe outshines him.
Scott, this feels like, I think that's like our third Chandler question. Why is everybody so high on Ty Chandler right now?
Because Madison's out and you should get a heavy amount of volume. But I could be wrong on this, but opportunity doesn't always lead to ideal production.
Yeah, I'm not a big Chandler fan myself, so I was trying to figure out where all this love was coming from. I think everyone's just trying to get ahead of.
It's like everybody loves the backup quarterback in real life. In fantasy, everybody loves the backup running back.
Makes sense.
If they haven't seen him as a feature back yet, because not everybody in fantasy loves Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Good point. Almost nobody does, actually.
No.
The fifth letter says Williams versus Detroit this weekend, or Zamir White tonight in replacement of Josh Jacobs.
I'm going to go with Williams. Denver has the second best run blocking grade on Pro Football Focus this week. I believe he has 70 plus scrimmage yards in his last 5 games. I think he's a safer play. I do like Zamir White if you're desperate, though. And you don't have Javonte Williams, you're desperate for other people listening. Zamir White is a big running back with some speed. I'm very interested to see what he can do tonight. I'm rolling him out in 2 playoff leagues.
Okay, yeah. So there you go. Keep that in mind, everybody. Zamir White, in case you're desperate. And by the way, for any other little nuggets like that, make sure you check out thegameday.com. Scott Engel has his weekly rankings, the fantasy sleepers, the fantasy busts. Just make sure you check that out.
Actually, Frank Amarante is the guy you really want to check out from the rankings over at our site. Frank is the number 4 ranker in the fantasy industry right now in Fantasy Pros.
Yeah, that's impressive, and I do use those rankings. They've been really useful. I mean, in my hands, they haven't helped me, but I'm sure that a better fantasy football player could do something with it. Hefty Lefty, or sorry, I didn't mean to skip over Donnie there. Donnie asked, Ritter or Mullins as my super flex?
Mullins is a decent NFL quarterback. Actually, I watched him play live in Seattle in 2018 when he was playing for the 49ers. But, Ritter offers a little bit of mobility, etc. He did throw for over 300 yards last week. I think you have a better chance of getting a decent game over Ritter. But if you can grab Will Levis, if nobody's picked him up, I like that kid. He's got a good matchup this week against Houston. He's confident. He's poised. He'll throw the deep ball. If you can get Will Levis, I'd use him over either one of those.
Yeah, I like Levis too. I think that he's been really fearless, I think is probably the right way of saying it. And it's been fun to watch, in addition to, I guess, for whoever it is that's been able to get the fantasy points from him. It's just been genuinely fun to watch.
Yeah.
Hefty Lefty.
Decent for fantasy too.
Hefty Lefty says, thanks, Scott. Also, I'm overthinking the matchup in going likely over Schultz at tight end. He's asking if he's overthinking it.
No, you're not. Because when Dalton Schultz plays, he's a proven quality fantasy tight end. The problem is that Davis Mills is the quarterback for the Texans this week. So I can't recommend Schultz over likely.
Oh.
I'm not trying to be punny here. It's very likely that CJ Stroud is out. So in that event, I can't use Dalton. I can't recommend Dalton Schultz as I normally would.
If you were being punny, you wouldn't be the first, because all of the fantasy advice columns that I've seen today all have some kind of likely pun. That's just there's no escaping it.
Yeah, it takes me back to fantasy baseball and like 20 years ago, and people are. If I see the headline one more time, even in baseball, say it ain't Sosa, I'm gonna scream.
Oh my god! Yeah, it's not original. It wasn't that funny even when it was original. There's no reason for any of this.
Yeah.
Thundar the Santa Barbarian says, "Hi, Mr. the King. Josh Chambers for the Chargers or Josh Downs for the Colts for wide receiver, because Keenan Allen is out, so I got to pick my poison here."
Yeah, I don't know who Josh Chambers is. I think he's talking about Josh Palmer, and he's probably going to be on the snap count tonight. So I'd probably lean Josh Downs, but if you need a deep shot, go with Khalil Shakir of the Buffalo Bills. Pro Football Focus has him as the 6th best individual wide receiver cornerback matchup against Dallas Cowboys slot corner Jordan Lewis this week. So I like Isaiah Likely for some upside. Josh Downs has been doing nothing, and Josh Palmer is going to be on a snap count.
All right, there you go, Thundar. If you don't have that, make sure you run out there and see if you can scoop them up before anybody else does. Big George is going to be the last question before we go to break, and then we'll get to everybody else and try and get as many of these as we can because they keep rolling right on in before we get to Thursday Night Football here on 1580 The Fanatic. Big George says, "Mr. the King, which two would you start for the following 4 players in a wide receiver standard scoring position? Jerry Jeudy, Jaden Reed, Mike Evans, or Jalen Waddle?"
I'm never starting Jerry Jeudy. Any further questions direct, please do not include Jerry.
Jerry. So there you go, everybody. You have been warned.
Yeah. Yes. Steve Smith will not start Jerry Jeudy. I think you have to bench Waddle against the Jets. So Waddle and Jeudy are out. You never sit Mike Evans.
So there you go, Big George. Mike Evans is your answer there. We've got
Jaden Reed.
And Jaden Reed. Yeah. So we've got plenty of questions still coming in. Megatron, Eye Candy, Hefty Lefty, Fifth Letter. I see you guys, and we will get back to you on the other side. You're listening to the Daily Blender here on 1580 The Fanatic.
Scott Graham here from Westwood One. NFL Week 14 kicks off with Thursday AFC action when the Steelers host the Patriots. Pittsburgh dropped to 7-5 last week, but still have playoff expectations, while the Patriots are hoping to break a 5-game losing streak. Ian Eagle and Ryan Leaf will have the call on air and on the free live stream sponsored by AutoZone on Thursday Night Football.
Right here on 1580, The Fanatic.
O'Reilly. Cleaning your fuel system can help your engine run better and improve gas mileage. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts and pick up a bottle of Chevron Techron Fuel System Cleaner. On sale now. Buy one, get one free. Plus, get 2 times O-Rewards points. Get more fuel-saving tips from the professional parts people at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional grade supplies for every industry, even hard to find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger.
Hey, Jeffrey O'Brien here. And listen, Phoenix has had over 53 days of 110 degree plus this summer. This last July alone, we had 30 consecutive days of 110 plus. And this summer heat might just be the new normal for summers here in Arizona. What you need to do is call Harman Solar today. Harman Solar could save you over 80% off your electric bills. They're a locally owned, family-owned company. Call Harman Solar for a free estimate. 800-281-3189. That's 800-281-3189 or go to harmansolar.com.
Can I open it now?
I think you've waited long enough.
Yeah, go for it, kiddo.
I already have this baseball cap.
Not this one.
Look a little closer, sweetheart.
It's signed?
Yeah, buddy.
I can't believe it.
Do you still have that card all these years later? Do you have trading cards that's been sitting in a box for decades? Scottsdale Cards is who you want to call first. The Valley's card, comic book, and collectibles expert since 1989. Scottsdale Cards is your source to sell your trading cards and other collectibles, including those comic books you've been doing nothing with. We are always interested in buying your vintage sports cards and comic books, certified autographs, memorabilia, and collectibles. So what collectibles do you have stored away? They could be worth thousands. Call Call or text 480-419-2990. That's 480-419-2990. Or go to scottsdalecards.com. That's scottsdalecards.com. Or search Scottsdale Cards on your mobile phone today.
At Granger, we're for the ones who specialize in saving the day and for the ones who've mastered the art of keeping business moving. We offer industrial-grade supplies for every industry with same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders, all backed by real people ready to help. So you can get the right answers and products right when you need them. Call quickgranger.com or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey everybody, it's Mark Asher back to tell you about my great friends over at the Lund Mortgage Team. For years, I've been telling you about refinancing, new home loans, all the great stuff that the Lund Mortgage Team can help you with from start to finish. Now, things have gotten a little crazy, right? The rates were bouncing all over the place. Now they're officially higher than they've been in a long time. And now more than ever, I think it's important to have a mortgage professional that has been there, done that. Any Yahoo can sell you a mortgage when it's 2.75%. Those people are going away. The real professionals are the ones that are staying in business and helping their clients through this kind of tough time out there as far as mortgage rates are concerned. Those people are the Lund Mortgage Team. Matt Oliver, Lisa Lund, they've owned this team for a long time, over 2 decades in the Valley. They are the best in the business, and they will walk you through the process, whether it's refinancing now or probably more importantly, a new home loan. Let them do all the heavy lifting for you. Call today, 623-875-9940. That's 623-875-9940. or online, lundmortgage.com.
Grand Canyon University basketball is back for another exciting season. After advancing to March Madness in 2 of his 3 seasons as the head coach, Bryce Drew brings a team to the court this season, picked to win the conference once again, and led by first-team All-WAC selection Gabe McLaughlin and WAC preseason Player of the Year Ray Harrison. Check out the schedule at gculopes.com to find matchups with San Francisco, DePaul, Liberty, and last year's national championship runner-up, the San Diego State Aztecs. Join me, Michael Potter, and Lopes insider Paul Coro all season long right here on The Fanatic, the home of Lopes basketball.
Welcome back to the Daily Blender here on 1580 The Fanatic, and we're not going to waste any time with introductions here. We're just going to get right to it. Scott E. the King is on the phone line here answering your fantasy football questions, and we're going to continue doing that. We're going to go right to Megatron, who sent in a question right before the break. He said, start 1, Hall, Gibbs, or Swift.
I don't think you can bench Jahmyr Gibbs the way he's playing right now. Got to lock him in every week, especially against the Broncos, who allow the most fantasy points per game to running backs. I do expect a bounce back week from Swift against the Seahawks. 28th in fantasy points per game allowed to running backs. 24th in receiving yards allowed to running backs, but you can't bench Jahmyr Gibbs. Don't overthink it. You got to start your best players.
There you go. Eye Candy says, at quarterback, Trevor Lawrence or the Cincinnati Bengals quarterback, Browning?
Yeah, it's not a great matchup for either quarterback, but the Ravens have been giving up some points here and there. I'm going to go with Lawrence.
Let's see here. Hefty Lefty says, not going to stick out your neck for Davis Mills. I mean, I think Davis Mills has plenty of neck for everybody.
Look, I don't make something clear. I'm not saying these guys are bad NFL players, but he's not giving you, that's not what I do. I don't criticize these guys as players. There are some analysts out there who I like and respect say, the guy's not good at football, and I'll argue with them. So, well, if he wasn't, he wouldn't be in the NFL. And some players, have different values to their team, but Davis Mills is not a good fantasy option. So I'm not going to stick my neck out from fantasy-wise. I'm sure he's very important to the Houston Texans.
Yeah, no, I think that was definitely more of a joke of the fact that Davis Mills does have a very long neck.
I do realize it's a joke, but, I don't want to start ripping on Davis Mills either, is what I'm saying.
No, that's a good point. So you can leave that to us. We're not professional around here.
Yeah, we do that.
The fifth letter.
I'll probably, if you would have asked me about Sammy Watkins 3 years ago, I probably would have sounded hypocritical about what I just said.
we all have moments.
Yeah. I had a lot of Sammy Watkins moments.
The fifth letter says, one more. Herbert was my QB and is out. I picked up Matthew Stafford. Am I safe with him over others like Minshew, Willis, or Geno, which I can grab Saturday on waivers?
You have to start Matthew Stafford this week. He's been throwing so much. He threw 3 touchdown passes in rain and wind last week.
Mm-hmm.
He plays the worst pass defense in the NFL this week. Lock him in. He's a top 7 fantasy quarterback this week.
Yeah, we've been talking about that. That's going to be a hard game for me to have to watch. But, if you have Stafford, you can be on the good side of that particular game. Beer Nut says, Joe Flacco or Jared Goff?
I have to go Goff. He plays well at home. I think he'll bounce back.
And the last couple of games from Goff doesn't worry you?
But he's usually good at home. So I'll take my shot. With Flacco, the balloon could get punctured at any point.
Right.
Yeah.
Big George says, thank you, Keon, for asking my questions to Fantasy Football Genius, Mr. Scott the King, and thank you, Scott.
Well, anytime.
Thundar the Santa Barbarian says, thanks. Happen to have Shakir on my bench, so I'll do that. Ralph, see you on fantasy football on the fantasy football field, and go Dodgers.
Amen.
Not really, but I'm a Mets fan. I hope we get Yamamoto. So
Dodger.
You guys are brothers as far as Seahawks go, but you are on the opposite sides of baseball there.
Enemies in baseball.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
I don't hate the Dodgers.
Let's see here. The fifth letter says, thanks, Mr. the King. I'm out. Raiders about to be on. Just win, baby. All right. Let's see here.
That has been true in about 40 years, but good luck.
Likely or Ferguson? Battle 51 asks.
I stick with Ferguson.
All right. Swazman says David Montgomery or Zach Moss?
Love the matchup for Montgomery against the Broncos.
Okay.
Moss has been playing well.
And Eye Candy says Ferguson for Dallas or the Bears tight end?
I don't like the matchup for Komet against Cleveland. Go with Ferguson.
There you go. And that's all the show we have. So if there's any other questions out there, sorry if I didn't get to you. We'll see you tomorrow here on the Daily Blender on 1580 The Fanatic.
Your home for Monday Night Football is 1580 and 99.3. The Fanatic, home for NFL, playoffs, and Super Bowl 58.